in broadcasting.
Still singing Bible night before my praise is on the bed. Way up ahead, I see the crowd of flashing blue lights. I run to see the college of some to the free show. Never know what's going on, just happy to exist.
Good morning. We are live week 7 of the NFL, shortly after 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the United States of America, Virginia Beach, Virginia, our Chicks Beach Studios. The sweet sounds of the pie tasters getting us energized after a fun Saturday in the sports lounge. Nothing crazy. We didn't get too crazy, but we managed to find, I think, a hot streak. And we'll show you a couple good ones here in a second. Good show today, guys. If you're just tuning in, and ladies, this is the Deep in Broadcasting Network. This is the Round Robin. I am Stephen Murray. We have Nephew Dave popping in later. We have the Ant-Man with injuries and fantasy angles and the latest weather, dual weather action, me and him, as you get the weather right off the bat here in a second. And we have Dave Del Grande from Field Level Media in the San Francisco Bay Area. He will join us and he will get us going with everything that we need to know about the AFC West, the NFC West, and the thing is with those games, usually we have a lot of games to talk to Dave about. I feel like we've been able to get into a deep dive menu of what we like to get into and get over unders from him, especially with his fantasy angles. But most of the usual suspects are playing each other today, and that way, and we have the bye weeks as well. So somewhat of a limited menu. We'll find some other things to talk about. I'll ask him, how long is McCaffrey? How long has that been in the works? The 49ers have been on the East Coast for a while. So that would be a good one to go over. I need to start recording the show. So if you just kind of bear with me for half a second as I make sure we are live and getting good sound waves, and we are. So Dave Del Grande, he'll be on, and we'll talk NFC West. We'll talk AFC West football and some stuff to go into today. The games are weird. This is week 7. We will attempt to bring you plays that we like. We want you to think for yourself, people. People asked me all week, we want to see the plays. We want to see the records. That's fine. We're going to go ahead and post our records. And just to note last weekend, and we'll get more into that later, Nephew Dave, 3-0 against the spread. If you took his games with the regular lines, he was 3-0. But, of course, we're moving lines. So he was 2-1 in that aspect. So he wins. And last week, I go 1-4 with my alt line moves. But my games go 4-1. And we actually had a good week. So I feel like I'm on the right path for sure. I had 2 real bad beats last week, to be honest. Saquon Barkley, when he went down inside the 5-yard line, that was going to hit a 3-teamer, 2-touchdown scorer prop parlay that I put in. I had Stevenson, I had Jamar Chase, and Barkley was going in for a second. And there was about a 15 to 20 second difference. It wasn't much between the play clock and the game. But they had enough time to run out the clock. He took that knee that haunts us all. And that's what cost me that one. How about this? We had the free play. So we fired in the big $100 free play. We had Stevenson for 2 touchdowns, Patriots to win both of the halves against the Browns, which they did. Barkley for 1, that happened. Chase for 1, that happened. Darrell Henderson for 1, that happened. And Justin Jefferson for one. That did not happen. He was tackled at the 4-yard line going in, and that $100 free play goes down as a loss and a -0. But we were that one touchdown away from a $25,000 payout. Props to one of our listeners. He sent in his ticket, and he had a lot of same game parlay props in the Bengals game with the Saints and with the Bills Chiefs. So props to him. He got a nice 5-digit winner with that ticket. So that's the point here. We're looking to invest the minimum to make the maximum. And we want to find the best boards on the play, in our opinion, not my opinion. I'm not telling you to take picks. That's some of the confusion out there. I'm not out here to tell you what to take. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to take, but I'm not expecting you to do that. I don't want to get you on some kind of bad streak. You go streaky for sure. And you have to have some patience the way that I bet for sure. All right. You have to be willing to take a lot of losses in the meantime because you're only losing a little bit. And when you win the big ones, that's going to pay off for a lot of the little ones that you've lost in the meantime. And the theory being there is that our pluses at the end of the day will be better than our minuses. And so far, so good with these expanded menus that these sports books are offering and the different types of wagers. So able to find something that we like in all kinds of different ways. And that is the purpose of the show, is to teach you guys that there are different ways to do things. You don't need to go out there and spend $20 on the lottery ticket. We've said this plenty of times. If you've been listening, if you're new to the show, that's why I'm kind of giving you this little bit of a dissertation. We're getting lots of new listeners every week. So if you're new to the show, $20 lottery ticket, you can go down the street and maybe you win $500 here or there. Maybe you win $500 here or there. Maybe you win some 50s. You win a couple hundreds. You feel good about yourself, but you're going to lose that $20 more often than not. We can take that same $20. We can pick off for sporting events, for football games. And this is going to be a proof to my point here in a second. So take 4 football games, or you know what? If it's a situation like yesterday with me and you don't see a whole lot that you like, maybe a little gun shy from all the soccer plays that start off with a lot of goals, it looks like, and then they go to nothing. Unless you're in the EPL, you've just been doing nothing. The championship, they're at least getting goals down there. And yeah, there are a few other things we kind of went with off the record, not on the show, and the Friday soccer paycheck. Tune in 4:00 Fridays if you want your weekend soccer plays for you to examine and take other plays for yourself or follow along and not get mad. But yeah, dry as a desert for the goals. So we're a little gun shy yesterday, and we decided, you know what? Let's take our own advice for sure. Let's play by our rules, which we preach on the air, and find just the best plays on the board. It doesn't matter what the sport is. We had a lot of opportunity with NBA, hockey. There was the baseball game. So went ahead in a nice session, and we had an okay day. We had LSU on the alt line and a few other things. UCLA was not looking so good. Took a chance with Mississippi State on the alt line. Took Syracuse. So they did well for us in that aspect. But nothing could hit together. Texas Tech was a nice look for us. It was kind of win some, lose some, but nothing to get excited about because you couldn't get the full complement of plays the way that we were playing our round robin. That's what we did. So we played a night session round robin. And if you still new to the show, that's the name of the show. But the round robin is a multi-leg parlay in which you take 4 or 5 teams. In this case, we had 4 teams. And I'll go ahead and pull the ticket up here. Let me enter. The studio has the producer here. This is always fun. I got a million tabs up. And there we go. So if you can't find 4 football games you like, you find the best play on the board, maybe. And that's what I did. I found the best basketball game that I liked. We went ahead and went with it. the Celtics and the Magic over 233.5. Bancheros and the Magic are exciting. They didn't score a lot against the Hawks. The Hawks didn't score a lot in that game either on Friday night. But watching them against the Pistons in that first game, you could tell that they had the potential to have a lot of offense. Boston has instant automatic offense if they're hitting their shots. And man, Boston, the Celtics, their bench is deep. They got players that can come off and hit the three. Let me tell you that. So that was an easy cruise to the alternate over. You could see we could have gone up a lot more. Still another 12 points, which that would have been something like plus 1,300 at that point, maybe a little bit less, probably about plus 1,300. We didn't go that far. We like the Phillies with their momentum and their bats at home in that bandbox, and knowing the Padres could probably put up a few runs themselves. They made it scary. They went up 4-0 right off the bat, but we didn't flinch. You know, the Phillies have the capability to come right back and knock that out of the park, which they wish they did. The over Kansas State TCU got the bulk of their points in the first half, and the Flyers are hot. They are a great pick in the NHL, where a lot of underdogs, like teams like Buffalo and the Flyers, and in the NBA, you got to give teams like the Spurs credit. They beat Philadelphia in Philadelphia yesterday, and Utah. Utah's playing hard as well. They've now beaten Denver and Minnesota. So these teams who are supposed to be bad are looking decent, and we're playing along with it. And so all our best bets right there on the board, they come through, and we have a nice afternoon. Well, we have a nice morning for sure, because that was late into the night, to be honest. So a nice morning for us. Let's see what we got. Here we go. We got a few minutes to break. Let's see what we got for the weather. But that's the point of the story, is mix the minimum with the maximum. Oh, yeah, I guess we had less than time, didn't we? Yeah, so for you do people, sorry, I get distracted on my own production amazingness. I can get a ticket on the air with my head in the background. Okay, so follow along with the pointer. The round robin parlay is this. It is a 2-game parlay with this first and second pick, and then it's one with the first and the third. What's one with the first and the fourth? That's another one. 2-game parlay with these two, and then these two, and then these two. Get it? And then 3-game parlays. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's all the different ones. 1, 2, 3. I'm still trying to explain this to my boy Steve in the local watering hole Friday. Steve, if you're out there, giving you a shout out here. So follow along. 3-game parlay. 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. It's all these parlays, and then it's one big 4-game parlay at the end. So if you sweep the board, you win them all. You win all the 2s, you win all the 3s, you win all the 4s. Actually, to make a good profit, you only need to hit 3 of the 4. And then to make your money back even, usually you just hit 2. So if you can hit 2, you can break even. So it's a fun way and a fun approach, and fun for me yesterday for sure. Let's get to the weather here. This is Deep End Broadcasting. I'm Stephen Murray. This is the Round Robin, live from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Your first look at the NFL Sunday slate. A deep dive, a deep one, right into everything through the whole expanded menu. And let's see here. Weather-wise, what do we got? I think we have some rain popping up in places, but I think we're, for the most part, isolated in our games. Let's see what we got going on here. So I know in Denver with the Jets game, we have wind. I know San Francisco is clear. I know that one place I'm most concerned about, actually, you guys can't hear the pop-ups. Yeah, so a slight chance of rain this afternoon on the East Coast. In Washington, let's see. We'll go down the menu of games here, make sure we don't miss anyone. So that will apply for Baltimore too. Light rain chances as we have 1 o'clock kickoffs, Eastern Standard Time. Browns hosting the Ravens. The line for this game is, let's see where we sit now. Current odds. We want to get all this into. We don't care about plugins. We don't care about the problem with the updated lines on the sports books is they just make you log in, plug in everything. Okay, yes. So current lines, Baltimore right now 6.5 point favorite and 45.5. These are 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time kickoffs. Rain does not seem to be an issue there. Dallas and Detroit, they'll be fine. Dallas is minus 6.5 and 48.5 as we look at that right now. Nashville weather, that's going to be my other question mark. So we have the Titans and the Colts. The home team is a 2.5 point favorite, 41.5. And if we get a winner in this game and we don't have a tie, which the Colts have one already here, then we will have an outright first place holder at 4-3. As bad as they've been all over. Okay, so 78 degrees and cloudy skies in Nashville. Let's make sure we get these standings right. I know they're tied first, but it's shocking to me that the oh man, you gotta be kidding me. So like NFL.com, you can't find standings off the schedule page. Are you serious? Okay. I need to do better production work. I'm going to blame this on me. Yes, the Colts are 3-2-1. It'll be hard to believe the Colts could be actually 4-2-1 as much as we picked on them. That's kind of more point to that. So the Titans, they actually are in first place by virtue of, well, they have one less game played, but they have the winning percentage just slightly over the Colts. So winner there has first place. Let's see, Ravens and Browns. The Browns can get to 500. They are at 2-4. That division is right there, as bad as the Steelers have been. We'll talk about them plenty this show. They are only one game back. All right, Jacksonville and the Giants. Let's get some weather down in Jacksonville. If we get somewhat of a cooperation by, I'm just amazed as we're getting to our first break. Dave Grandi coming up after the break as well here. So, let's see. Come on, speed it up. It's amazing. It's amazing how high speed all the time, except for Sunday mornings at 6:15 in the effing morning. Okay, nice day in Jacksonville. We're not going to worry about any weather there. 75 degrees. Okay, so if you want to get some sun, you take your shirt off at the game. The Giants are in town. Plenty of New Yorkers will be down there. They will probably dominate the fan base, I would think, today. So the Jags are -3 at 43.5 for that game. Cincinnati, they host the Falcons. They are -6.5 and 45.5 is the over-under. And we'll go ahead and punch up the Cincinnati weather real quick because the last time I relied on Saturday night's weather, people, okay, it just didn't work out. Maybe I just need to wake up that extra 10 minutes because of the slowness of, oh my God, it should be like the regular web, 65 degrees and cloudy. So no issues there, not even any wind. So 3 miles per hour. So beautiful conditions. That's going to be good for me because I'll like this game later on, to be honest. I like it in a couple of ways, to be honest. So the Bengals and Cincinnati, that is 6.5 and 47.5. DC, we have the Commanders and the Packers, 4.5, 41.5. Weather fine. Tampa Bay is at Carolina, -13.5, over under 38.5. It doesn't matter what the weather will be. It's going to be ugly for Carolina regardless. Houston is at the Raiders, 7 and 45.5. These are all current lines. The Jets line is flip-flopped again. Wow. So the Jets have gone from the favorite to the underdog to the favorite again. So a lot of middles out there. Well, it's only gone to 1.5 either way. So not really a lot of middles unless they tie. But one at -1.5 for the Jets and 36.5. That over under is dropping actually. So noteworthy there. That's because quarterback Wilson is out. Chargers are -5 and 50.5. I feel like that line's moved for sure. Kansas City is 1.5 and 48.5. McCaffrey will play today. The Steelers, this line has moved. The Dolphins are now a 8:30 kickoff, so the night game. The Dolphins 7.5 and 44.5. And then the last game tomorrow night, weather to be determined by you tomorrow. Patriots -7.5 and 40.5. So this has been the busiest line moves I've seen in the week, all weeks that we've had. So we are week 7 right now. The National Football League, that's your slate, that's your lines. We have the 425 games or 405 games. So the 4 o'clock window, we'll call that. That's going to be Jets, Broncos, Houston, and the Raiders. Chargers will host the Seahawks and the 49ers and the Chiefs. Those are all Dave Dilgrandi games. He is actually on deck with us. Let's go ahead and get a break. This is Deep End Broadcasting. Actually, we'll go ahead and do this. All right, we're on the roll. Don't want to leave you hanging. We're going to throw a soccer play in because we had, like we said, a good winner yesterday. We're going to go up with a fresh soccer play. We'll put this up for you over the break. Tag along if you would like. We'll get rid of the banner there. Tag along if you'd like. Dave Dilgrandi coming up the other side of the break.
Know your gambling limits. Don't ever bet what you can't cover. Wagering on sports is only fun when you do it the right way. Not every bet will win. When you get on a bad run, know it and avoid trouble. Know your gambling limits.
It is estimated that 23% of car accidents each year involve a cell phone. That's 1.3 million accidents a year. Reaching for your phone, you are 4 times more likely to crash. Dialing on your phone, 2.8 times more likely to crash. And texting on your phone, you are 23 times more likely to crash. Attentive drivers are safe drivers. It is estimated that 23% of car accidents each year involve a cell phone. That's 1.3 million accidents a year. Reaching for your phone, you are 4 times more likely to crash. Dialing on your phone, 2.8 times more likely to crash. And texting on your phone, you are 23 times more likely to crash. Attentive drivers are safe drivers. Do you want to advertise with Deep End Broadcasting? Send us an email at deepend757@yahoo.com. That's deepend757@yahoo.com. Joining us from the Bay Area in California, who works for Field Level Media, Dave Dilgrandi. Dave, how's it going out there on the West Coast?
Great thing.
Let's get right to it. Of all the teams we only have 8 teams above 3 wins. So 8 teams with 4 wins or more. Of all the teams with 3 wins or less, is there anyone that you're looking at that can make a really good run and make a staple for themselves to make the playoffs here coming down the stretch as we go into week 7?
Well, I would look at that a slightly different way and say that not much has changed, I would say, from original prognostications for the season. I mean, the Eagles certainly have surprised and have moved up into the elite level. And so they have to be considered now one of the top teams in the NFC. But, if you would ask the same question, which you did, 6-8 weeks ago, whatever it was, you would have said, well, Tampa Bay, the Rams, the 49ers, and Packers, with maybe the Cowboys, those were the top 4 or 5 teams in the NFC. And so, several, if not all of those teams fit into the category you were just talking about. I wouldn't discount any of those teams, especially Tampa Bay. You can't underestimate Tom Brady based on anything that happened in the regular season. I think the Rams are the most in trouble of those teams that I mentioned.
Okay.
They just don't seem to have this year what they had last year. Maybe it's going to take a trade to add one more, dynamic offensive piece, like when they got Beckham. We brought in Beckham last year. But the 49ers just did that. I mean, you would say, the 49ers are kind of teetering. Are they really that good? Are they not that good? And now, bang, they bring in the perfect complement for their offense, a running back that can get outside, which is what they haven't had, since Mostert last got hurt for them. So I think that Tampa Bay, I would definitely say, I still consider them the favorite in the NFC. I think the 49ers now would probably be considered the second choice. I think the Packers, as we move along here and they win, they haven't played the Bears or the Lions yet. And don't they play them like 8 times apiece during the regular season? They haven't started stockpiling all those cheap NFC North wins that they always get. And, by the end of the season, they're going to be, 12-5 or whatever, and maybe even have home field advantage. So, to answer your question, in the NFC, I think Tampa, San Francisco, probably Philadelphia at this point, Green Bay, Dallas, and the Rams. I think those 6 are still very, very much in the race. And the AFC, really nothing has changed. I mean, we looked at the AFC at the beginning and said that Buffalo was head and shoulders better than everybody, and they are head and shoulders better than everybody. The question is, who's the second best team right now? I guess you would still say that's Kansas City. But Buffalo, once again, as they did in the playoffs last year, even though they lost, has demonstrated they're a better team than Kansas City. What's been surprising in the AFC is that, we thought the AFC West was going to be stronger, but the Chargers have not, they've kind of been like the Rams. They just haven't found their gear yet. The Raiders haven't been as good as some people thought, including myself. The NFC South is a mess. The AFC South is a mess. The AFC North, Cincinnati's not as good as people thought. Baltimore's having a nice season, but they do this all the time, and they're never really that good a team. And then in the AFC East, again, Miami's improved. The Jets are improved. I don't consider them serious contenders. I think, as opposed to the NFC, where I think I said like at least 6 teams that I think are still in it, the AFC is Buffalo and Kansas City. I really don't see a third team, cracking that AFC championship game.
As far as quarterback controversies go, or potential quarterback controversies, there's one potentially in Dallas. There's one potentially in New England. If you were coaching those teams, Dave, do you stick with the hot hand or do you go back to your starter that's been on the bench?
You got to be kidding me, right? Calling those quarterback controversies. No.
Right. Okay.
I mean, this is.
If you read the fan pages,
you
you figure it's about half and half. The fan bases are at each other's throats. Okay.
What the Dallas situation has proven is that Dallas is a good team, and Dallas brought in a quarterback that would not start for any other team in the NFL. Has no right starting for Dallas when Dak Prescott is. Yes, has come in and led them to some wins. If I remember correctly, Sam Castle came in and led New England to the playoffs one year when Brady was hurt and got a big contract, and when we saw what became of him. I mean, backups are backups for a reason. Dallas was considered. Remember when Dak got injured? People were clamoring. They got to go get Garoppolo. They have no backup quarterback. They got to get him. And this guy's come in and game managed well. Ezekiel Elliott is having a very nice season out of nowhere. But no, Dallas absolutely no doubt who Dallas's quarterback is. New England's a little bit different, but New England also has a coach who the last thing he's going to do is create any kind of problem by letting something like this linger. Belichick drafted this guy, Jones, last year. Had a very surprisingly good season, probably the best of all the rookie quarterbacks last year. They've come back this year, and while he hasn't been very good, you have to look at, well, who's he surrounded with? I mean, New England has to have as bad or very close to the worst skill position players of any team in the league. They're a team that really needs a good coaching and error-free quarterback play if they're going to be successful at all. And that's basically what Jones gave them last year. And he's their guy. Now again, they plugged in a new guy. It's kind of the way it is with New England. They've got so many good parts. They've got good lines. They've got a really good defense. That this is the ultimate game manager situation, and it's a reason why Jones did so well for them last year. I'm not convinced he's a great, talented quarterback, but I am convinced he's a lot more talented than the new guy they brought in. And kind of like I mentioned with Green Bay, when you look at New England, you can't get too carried away with their record because they're playing the Jets and Miami seemingly every other week. I don't know. They just don't seem to play the top team somehow, some way. And when they do, they're competitive enough to win, even with the quarterback, like I said, being the ultimate kind of game manager. And I think that's exactly what Jones is. He doesn't have the talent as some of the guys drafted ahead of him in the draft last year, but he goes into the perfect situation. So I'm not sure he's a whole lot more talented than the backup guy, but they've made a commitment to him. It worked out great last year, and I'm fully convinced that they're convinced that it's going to work out great again this year. So both cases, I think, when you first mentioned quarterback controversy, I thought to myself, what in the world could he possibly be talking about? Maybe something in Carolina, and why would anybody care? But no, those are, I would say those are non-stories.
Zappy has a lot of backers in Patriots Day. If you dive deep down into the fan pages, which I'm sure you're doing on a nightly basis for the Patriots, Dave, you'll see that they're kind of butting heads. Of course, the Cowboys with Dak, he's going to come back, and he's going to take the reins for them. Let's go to McCaffrey. You touched on him as well with the 49ers before we get into that game. Do you think that their motivation to get McCaffrey was excelled by the loss to Atlanta, or do you really think most of those gears of the turbine were were turning there when the 49ers visited Carolina the week before?
Well, certainly the loss to Atlanta didn't help anything. But if you look at the 49ers, and I hate to mention injuries in the NFL because every team's got them, but if you look at the 49ers, they're killed by injuries. I think I read a stat where they have the second most in terms of salary commitment, the second highest percentage of players on the injured list this year. I mean, that game against Atlanta, if you watch the game against Atlanta, it was like watching a dominant high school team play against another one where all they did was run the ball up the middle the whole game. I mean, Atlanta does not have good running backs. Doesn't necessarily have a very good line, but they ran the ball. But your first down, they ran for 4 yards. Second down, they ran for 4 yards. Third down, they ran for 3 yards. I mean, there'd been a cloud of dust if the game weren't played on Astroturf. And they did it. And the 49ers were without Bosa. They're without Kinlaw. They're without Armstead. I mean, they're without legitimately 3 star defensive linemen. They're without, some people in their secondary. They were just depleted on defense, and they just couldn't stop them. And which was kind of sad to watch. But then at the same time, the 49er offense is one where they're at their best when they're running the ball. And the 49ers, the best thing they do is run the ball outside because they have George Kittle at tight end and Juszczyk at fullback, who are basically 2 pulling guards when they run the ball to the outside. And they outflank you, and when they've got speed to the perimeter, like what I told you when they had Mostert, in years past, they got to the outside and they got big chunks of yardage. They're not a between the tackles team, but that's what they've become when, Mitchell, who's been their starter, is not a great outside runner, but he's better at it than Wilson, who's a between the tackles guy. They've been looking for a running back. They brought in Tevin Coleman, who I thought might actually have some success for them and did have the 2 touchdowns 2 games ago. But he was on the scrap heap for a reason. And so I think what the 49ers making this move is an indication that they recognize they have to have a running back who can get outside. And it doesn't necessarily need to be the best running back in the league or close to it, like they acquired, but they went all in on this. And shockingly were able to do it without giving up any first round picks, which of course they don't have anyway. I just think this is a great addition for them. It's going to be, like I said, it just opens up their entire offense when they can get the ball to a back and run it outside. We saw this with Deebo Samuel last year when they put him at running back, wide receiver, they put him at running back. Well, what the heck are they doing? Well, they were desperate for speed. They were desperate to get the ball to the outside, so they put a wide receiver at running back, and it worked for them. But in the long run, you'd rather have a running back playing running back than a wide receiver, especially when you can put the wide receiver out there at the end of the line, and he can catch touchdown passes from there. So I think this is an incredibly good move for them, and I think that, as I said, despite their record, I would now rate them as almost a 1B to Tampa Bay's 1A in terms of the top 2 teams in the NFC.
All right. Kansas City is at San Francisco, Levi Stadium. That is going to be a 4:25 Eastern Standard Time game. The 49ers are at home as 1.5-point underdogs. We're looking at a over-under of 48.5. A battle of heavyweights here. How do you see this game breaking down overall, Dave?
I think it's a very tough game to pick.
Right.
I think it's the 49ers are in a position where they're looking to rebound, which is a good spot for a good team to be in. They're obviously motivated by the sight of Kansas City. Most teams are. but the last time the 49ers saw them, they still remember the Super Bowl that they let get away, so they're motivated by that. I think Kansas City, like I said, which is, clearly the second best team in the AFC, I think they would be just another team in that NFC pack if they were in there. I mean, they're a good team, but I don't think that they're really an elite team. It's possible the league only has one of those right now, and that would be Buffalo. The biggest concern with the 49ers remains injuries. Their offensive line is still way banged up. Their defensive line is still banged up. I mean, every day, when's Bosa coming back? When's Kinlaw coming back? When's Armstead coming back? When's War? It's just every day Shanahan's asked about 4 or 5 different guys whose injuries aren't season-ending or, long-term type of things, but just seem to be lingering. And I think that if this were a playoff game, they would get most of these guys back. But because it isn't, and because the NFC is in it's in a jumble. I mean, if the 49ers lose this game, is it really going to impact their playoff status? I don't think so. So I don't think that they're going to bring guys back for this game just because they want to beat Kansas City, just because they want to erase the stink of last week's loss. And so that's my biggest concern with the 49ers is just how hard are they going to try to win this game? The reason that I'm slightly optimistic on their end, and I don't know if McCaffrey's going to play in this game or not. I would kind of, think that he wouldn't. But then again, maybe they get him there and he's healthy. Maybe they show him a couple of plays and, hey, look, run to the right outside, run to the left outside. That's what we need you to do. The big problem last week was they were just so depleted in the defensive line that Atlanta mauled them in the running game. But Kansas City's not that type. Kansas City, for what I said about Atlanta's running backs, Algier is, 25 pounds heavier and a whole lot stronger than anybody Kansas City is going to have running the ball. They're just not the type of team that's going to pound you straight ahead like Atlanta did. And I think that will help the 49ers in the long run, because that's the one area where I would still be concerned where they're vulnerable. And like I said, Kansas City doesn't attack you in that way. So I think Kansas City is going to win this game. I think that, when push comes to shove, you got far and away the better quarterback on one team, on teams that are, probably pretty even when they're at full strength. I don't think the 49ers are at full strength. The Kansas City has the big edge at quarterback. So I think they'll probably find a way to pull this game out, but I expect a good game. And, I don't really see any fireworks in terms of, this is going to be a 38-35. Oh, you got to watch this one. Or this is going to be one of those Thursday night snoozers, 13-9.
Yeah, it looks like the numbers are right about where they should be for everything.
I think it's going to be a very average, NFL 28, 21, 24, 23 kind of game that could go either way. But I'd give Kansas City the slight edge.
If you were to put the 49ers on a neutral field with Christian McCaffrey in the lineup against the Eagles, what would you make the point spread in that game?
Well, point spreads, don't always, or really shouldn't impact, demonstrate which team is the better team. Point spreads have to go to the public perception of the teams. And I think that the public perception of the Eagles before the McCaffrey trade was, that they're a better team than the 49ers this year. They're probably a, 3.5, 4 point favorite over the 49ers on a neutral site. But I think that will change as soon as McCaffrey plays his first game for the 49ers. So your question is, if you ask me that today, and that game were today, and McCaffrey maybe not playing, I think you'd have to make Philly, a 3.5-point favorite. But if you ask me the same question a week from today, and now maybe McCaffrey did play part-time against Kansas City, and maybe he had one nice run down the sidelines where everybody's saying, oh, boy, the 49ers are back. Then, at that point, I think the 49ers become the favorite in that game, a 1.5 favorite or whatever, just because I think, they were considered the better team at the beginning of the year. And while Philadelphia has risen up, I'm still not convinced that people think that Philadelphia, is all that great a team. We just saw them against Dallas when Dallas had their backup quarterback in there. If Philly almost let that game get away. I'm not convinced Philly's a better team than Dallas. And thus I'm not convinced at all that Philly's a better team than, say, San Francisco or Tampa Bay.
Okay. Good stuff right there with the Eagles, 49ers, two of the top dogs there in the NFC, and we'll see if they even make it that far to face each other with a lot of football left to play.
Well,
sure.
Right. And not only that, but a lot of teams that have a chance. I mean, you go into the play. We're seeing this in the
wide
baseball
open.
playoffs.
It's wide open.
Yeah, look at the NL baseball playoffs this year. Who made, the NL finals, the bottom two seeds?
Yeah.
I mean, and it has to do with, especially in the NFC, there's a really good depth of teams there. And someone's going to end up playing the Rams, the defending champ, in the very first game of the playoffs and saying to themselves, wow, we had a good season. We got the home field in this game. But you got to be kidding me. We're playing the defending champions in the first round of the playoffs. And that's the way it's going to be in every NFC matchup. Unlike the AFC, where somebody's going to end up playing, Tennessee or Indianapolis in the first round and saying, "Oh, thank goodness we get a bye." The NFC is, you're kidding. We're playing Dallas in the opener. Has anybody seen Dallas lately? And so that's going to be the thing about the NFC playoffs is that, oh my God, every game is going to be, much must-watch TV.
And plenty of twists and turns in the season as well. McCaffrey was the first major twist and turn I think that we've seen. And, you hate to say it, but eventually someone's quarterback is going to be shelved for the season as well, and that's going to derail their season. So it's going to be a week-to-week approach. See how it goes.
And there's still, the question is this the first domino to fall? The trade deadline, I think, is on November 1st. So
yes, November 1st.
We've still got one more week to go for, the Rams to make their counter move, for the Cowboys maybe to, decide, well, you know what, we need one more player if we're going to keep up with the Eagles this year. Maybe it's Tom Brady convincing, the Tampa Bay that, hey, look, we need one more guy. We need a real tight end here. Let's go out and get ourselves an all-star tight end somewhere and make a big difference there. And so it's something definitely next week to keep your eye on, which is the team that, just because you make a trade doesn't necessarily mean you've helped yourself, but you can kind of tell with some of these teams. Like I said, if Tampa Bay went out and acquired, just to throw a name out there, Darren Waller, from the Raiders, it'd be like, whoa, this is, that's the equivalent of the 49ers acquiring McCaffrey, and now you think, okay, that's, Tampa Bay's back on top. So that's the kind of thing to be looking for next week.
4:05 kickoff time, Eastern Standard Time, in Vegas. The Raiders, coming off the bye, host the Texans, coming off the bye. The Raiders are 7-point favorites. Over/under is 45.5. The running back for the Texans has had a nice season, Dameon Pierce. The Raiders are probably one of the better 1-4 teams maybe you've seen in quite some time. Is this the week that they get their season hopefully maybe back on track with the home win over the Texans?
You would hope so, but the Texans are a scary team. I mean, they're a team that they hang in there with you. They'll fight you the entire way. They don't recognize that they're out talented at basically every position. They show up every week, and that's the kind of team that's good. That's going to give a team like the Raiders problems, because what the Raiders are under the gun right now. I mean, this is a game. If they lose this game, then well, let's start selling. Let's trade Waller, and completely cash in on the season. They cannot afford to lose this game. That doesn't mean that they're going to win it. And like I said, Houston, this is a great spot for Houston. Without any pressure, they never have any pressure in any of their games, just to play them even for a quarter. Watch the Raiders tense up, play them even for a half. Watch Raider fans start booing, stay even in the third quarter, put even more pressure on the Raiders. And the Raiders have played a lot of close games this year, have yet to demonstrate that they can handle the big pressure situations. They absolutely have to avoid that this week against Houston. They've had a week off. Hopefully, it's been productive for them. Hopefully, they can come out and put a couple of early scores on the board against Houston. Excuse me, and kind of start breathing normally. And okay, we're back. We're the better team. We needed this win, and we're going to get a big win here. I mean, that's kind of critical. If I were the offensive coordinator for this team, man, I'd put my best plays out there right from the get-go in this game, because they need to crack the pressure. They need to jump out 7-0 and get the fans back on their side, get the confidence level back up on the team. Because the longer Houston stays in this game, the longer, the better chance that they're going to be the team at the end that, is winning by 1 point, but the Raiders have the ball with 2 minutes to go, and lo and behold, Carr throws one to the other team, and the season is over. So I don't expect, I don't expect the Raiders to blow out Houston in this game. I expect Houston to be able to hang in there. And kind of like they do in most weeks. And I'd give the Raiders just a slight edge in this game.
The numbers again in this game, they just look right there. It's tough. You could see no blowout either way. You could see the Texans kind of maybe sneaking it out, but the Raiders win. There it is, right at 6, 7, 8, 9 points, something like that. And then just at the over-under is a 45.5, it has 23-20 written all over it, maybe 27-20.
Well, then again, what it's going to come down to is how close is the game. The Raiders, what the Raiders have to do is Devontae Adams, short of Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams might have been the second best wide receiver in the game last year. I mean, yeah, there's competition there from Jefferson and from Chase and from a couple other guys, but he was right in there. And they brought him to Las Vegas. They got a quarterback who's more of a deep threat, deep thrower than Aaron Rodgers is. It was like, okay, this guy's going to be on full display this year, and maybe it's taken a little while in the transition, but we talked about it. They just had a bye. They got 2 weeks to prepare for this game. Got 2 weeks to realize. Look, have you watched Buffalo play? And they throw the ball to Diggs. Even this Thursday night game, Hopkins comes back. He hasn't played in 6 weeks. What did they do? Throw him the ball 15 times? It's like you've got to recognize this is our guy, and we got to throw the ball to him, at least twice a possession. And we got to throw the ball to him, 12, 14, 16 times, get the ball in his hands and let him run. And hopefully that's what they've been preaching during their week off. Hopefully they come into this game because he's the best player on the field. I mean, it's not even close. And he's the kind of guy that you throw him a nice 50-yard touchdown pass on the first possession. And then, like I said, then, you're feeling great about yourself. So I think, I fully expect in this game that they're going to try to really get him involved. And if there's going to be any breakout player in this game, it's got to be him.
All right. So 2 touchdowns for Adams is plus 390. I think that's going to be too cheap to buy in on that. Let me ask you this about the Texans. This is kind of an oddball. The Texans at 1-3-1, and they are at the bottom of the division, but they're only back a couple of games. And Tennessee and Indianapolis will play this week, and the winner will move up to the top of the division there. At 29-1 odds, could you buy the Texans to win that division? We talked about it being a mess.
I can't imagine.
Okay.
I cannot imagine that they are. That's a possibility. I mean, it would be an incredible achievement for the Texans to go 8-9 this year. Now, given the way the Colts and the Titans have stumbled, is it possible that neither of them are going to have a winning season this year? I mean, it'd be hard to believe, but it's possible.
It's the NFL.
Yeah, you're right. The way the Colts played, oh man, that Colts game against the Broncos, that was an NFL game.
Yeah, terrible.
Those two off. I mean, especially the Colts. Now, granted, the Colts didn't have Taylor, running the ball there, but Ryan is supposed to be a good quarterback. He looked like De La Salle High's backup, thrown into the game. Like, I can't throw the ball more than 5 yards at a time because, we don't want to take any chance. I mean, it was like, you're Matt Ryan. You've got some decent receivers. Throw the ball down the field. I mean, to me, it was really sad. But then what happens? And then, next thing you know, Indianapolis pulls out the win in the game. So it's, like I said, they could be really bad. The Titans could be really bad. And yet somehow, some way, one of those teams are going to end up winning 9 games. And I just can't imagine the Texans, especially if they were 3-1-1 now, you might say, yeah, they could get to 9 wins maybe, but at 1-3-1, I mean, there's almost no chance that they can do that.
Okay. Sunday, 4:05 Eastern time in Denver. The Broncos, this line has moved a little bit. The Jets earlier in the week were the favorite. Now it is flip-flopped. The Broncos are a short 1-point favorite at home against the Jets, over under 37.5. The Jets have been one of those nice, darling surprises. I think they've stolen the princess slipper from the Jaguars over there in the AFC, where everyone's kind of thought the Jaguars were the darling. They've kind of reseeded, and here come the Jets, looking good and off to a good start with the ex-49er coach, defensive coordinator, Saleh. He's done a good job there. Russell Wilson, all kinds of injury question marks with him. The fans not too happy. New ownership didn't look too happy on TV the other night. What do you see in this Broncos-Jets game here in Denver?
Well, I can't imagine that the Broncos could lose this game. I mean, they're just a way better team than the Jets. It hasn't shown yet, but the Broncos, if you look at this, the teams they've played so far, they've played a very competitive schedule. And they're, kind of like the Raiders the same way. You're talking about the Raiders being a good 1-win team. Well, Denver is not considered a good team right now because their offense has been so bad, but they remain an elite defensive team, and their defense is the best unit on the field this week. Now, you could argue the Jets defense might be the second best unit, and it's just two good units against two bad offenses, although I wouldn't necessarily say the Jets are a bad offense, but they're certainly not in the same category as Denver's defense. And so, this to me has another really ugly look to it. But Denver, Denver's at home. It doesn't surprise me that, the Jets would be favored. I talked about this a little while ago. The perception is that the Jets and Giants, are really improved this year. I mean, while that might be true, that just tells you how bad they were in the past. I don't think either one of them is a mediocre, an average team in the NFL right now. I mean, average teams, there are 32 teams in the league, right? I wouldn't rate either one of them in the top 16 in terms of teams. And so, you got a below average team on the road against a pretty solid, definitely a solid defensive team. I just don't see this being a game where the Jets are going to win this game. But, like I said, then you look at the other side of it. How is Denver going to win this game as bad as their offense has been? And is Russell Wilson even playing in this game? If he doesn't play, excuse me, that changes everything. As bad as he's been, he is a whole lot better than what else, they're going to throw in there. Denver's biggest problem is, for the life of me, I can't figure out what their coach is doing. He comes from Green Bay, where, he has one of the great quarterbacks, in the NFL, but Aaron Rodgers is a little like Tom Brady, especially lately, where he throws the ball 5 to 8 yards at a time. Quick slant-ins, wide receiver screens, swing out to the back. He's not a drop back, throw the ball downfield type of quarterback, and hasn't been game planned to do that either. Well, Hackett has brought that same game plan to Denver. And it's like, no. That's not the team you have now. You've got receivers that can get downfield. And you've got a quarterback who's arguably the best deep ball thrower that we've seen in the NFL in the last 10 years. He's 5'6" or whatever he is. He's not going to throw the quick slant in over defensive linemen who are a foot taller than him. What happened in the Super Bowl when they tried that.
Yep.
He cannot play this way. And unfortunately, the offensive line there has been surprisingly bad. And Wilson looks like he's aged 5 years. I mean, he's not getting away from the traffic as well as he did in Seattle. But it all comes back to they've got to re-script what they're doing. And I'm not saying that's going to ever happen, because that's maybe not the way the coach wants to coach. But he better consider it, considering his quarterback situation and the fans booing. The fans booing it, which is understandable, but it's kind of short-sighted. It's like, do you really want us to take Wilson out and put in, a far worse guy? Is that really going to help us out here? I think they've got the wide receivers to have a good passing game, a good deep passing game. And unfortunately, they have running back issues. Their top back is out, so that doesn't help. But I don't know. I think that if Wilson plays in this game, that Denver will find a way to win it. I can't see either team scoring more than 21 points in this game. And so I don't know what kind of total they put on the game. It certainly can't be much higher than 40.
37.5. And a 20-mile-per-hour winds forecasted as well.
Well, there we go. That was what I was just going to say. It's overcast day today in San Francisco. The weather from here heads east. If it's this kind of day tomorrow in Denver, that tends to turn into rain, maybe even snow, depending on the temperature.
Slight chance of rain tomorrow. It's going to be a warmer day. But...
So I don't think, I think it's certainly not going to be your Chamber of Commerce weather day there. And like I said, two great defensive teams. That total is awfully low. But I'll tell you what, I have no interest in an over in that game.
Yeah, man. I mean, out of the three games, it's hard to find any kind of fantasy angle or any kind of mass moving of a spread or anything like that. I would tend to agree on a low-scoring game. Maybe if you wanted to say that this game would be under 31 combined points, if you wanted to get super crazy, I don't think you're even going to get a good payout there. Plus 230, that's not worth it. So, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, where I think there could be value in a game like this is, first off, if the weather is not great, and it's possible that Wilson might not even play, and if he does, he may not play the whole game. We know he's not at 100%. The Jets go there with a young quarterback against an elite defense. I would say the odds of a defensive score in this game has got to be 50-50.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's take a look.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I would look at in this game. What kind of odds are they offering on something like that? That's the great thing about the new era of odds these days is that you can tend to find odds on pretty much anything you want. And that to me would be the angle to go, because I think that both teams, it wouldn't surprise me if Wilson threw one to the Jets. It certainly wouldn't surprise me if Denver put a backup quarterback in there and he fumbled and the Jets ran it in. And wouldn't surprise me at all to see Denver's defense, taking advantage of a young quarterback and getting a score. So, if I were to play two things in a game like that, I would take, will there be a defensive score in this game? Yes. And give me the price. It's got to be a plus, right? And will there be two defensive scores in this game, at 10-1 or whatever kind of price they would put on, something like that? I take a stab at
it. Both defenses are paying 10-1 to score a touchdown each. So 10-1 for the Jets to have one and 10-1 for Denver to have one. So in theory, you could just put down $10 on either or. Maybe you get both. But as long as one of them hits, you'll lose your $110 bet, and then you'll clean up on the other one.
That's 10-1.
If you parlay them both, $10 will win you $985, $1,000 bucks.
I mean, right, and there you go. That's your way of saying, well, if you think there's going to be two defensive scores, go ahead and parlay the 10-1 to the 10-1. So yeah, I mean, I'll take all three of those things. I'll take the Denver defensive score, I'll take the Jets defensive score, and I'll take the parlay between the two.
Well, they're talking about these games being a lot more low scoring in the NFL. And out of everything that we've looked at so far, the best that we've come up with is two defensive scores. So that's pretty funny. Okay, let's go to SoFi, and that is going to be a Sunday 4:25 Eastern Standard Time game. The Chargers, we touched on them a little bit already, 5-point favorites over your old neighbor and friend Pete Carroll. The over-under is 50.5. The Seahawks coming in, they still have had a nice little season by their standards. I think if you told them where they are today, they would take it. The Chargers, you never know what you're going to get. They're the biggest. There's an old Price is Right game where you put your hand in the bag and you pull out a chip blindly. I feel like that's what you're getting with their coach every time. You just don't know what you're going to get. So the Chargers are at home against the Seahawks. How do you see this one, Dave?
Well, this is reminds me of the Raider Texans game, except without the buys. This is a game that the Chargers not only need to win, but need to reestablish what they are offensively. They can't get the ball to their outside receivers, effectively enough. And this is an opportunity against a below average defense to do that. I think that, like I said, with the Raiders, I think it's very important that the Chargers come out of this game and score 10 points in their first two possessions. I mean, just move the ball down the field and kind of say, all right, look, our offense is the best unit on the field here. We've got an elite quarterback. We got a running back that you can't stop in the running game or the passing game. We still got some good receivers here, and really take charge in this game, because this is going to be a game. I'd say the only similarity I would find between the Texans and the Seahawks is the longer that you allow a Pete Carroll team to hang in the game, keep it low scoring, kind of like this ugly thing they won against Arizona. The more he's going to play conservatively. So if you jump out on him, 10-0, and you force them, they've got good wideouts. You force him to get into a Geno Smith versus Herbert, shootout. Well, they're going to get destroyed in a game like that. The game's going to, skyrocket toward the over, similar to that Seattle, Detroit game earlier this year. So I have confidence in the Chargers offense. I have confidence that they can put up some big numbers early in the game and force a game like that. So if I were playing this game, I'd be looking at, a lot of the overs, a lot, monster game for Eckler, who's the last 3 weeks has been probably the best, the best back in the NFL, certainly in fantasy.
Yeah, he's had a nice few weeks here. Yep.
Yeah, and they throw him the ball, an incredible amount, maybe too much. Like I said, they really need to get the ball downfield more often. But maybe one leads to the other. Maybe you start throwing the ball to your back, their defense moves up, and now you get the ball downfield a little easier. I think that I think Seattle, the Chargers in this game, could easily score in the 30s. And if they do, I think that will prompt the Seahawks to open things up and get into the 20s. And so I would be looking at at receiver touchdowns in this game for Seattle. I would be looking at a total, like I said, a game going over 50. I think that this, of all the games we've talked about so far, I think this easily has the potential to be the highest scoring game.
Yeah, Seattle's been an automatic over team, except for that sloppy, ugly game with Arizona. They've been an auto play with the over. None of the props are up as far as the totals for individual players. But if you wanted to get over 59.5 points, you can get paid 3-1 on that. I think that there's a fair shot for that to happen, to be honest. I could see Seattle, this as a romp or, a score fest anyway.
Seattle is missing their top back. Now, granted, Walker, came in and did
well. He had a good game,
Walker, yes, and Walker is more of a breakaway threat, and that's good. That's kind of what you want when you're looking at a total in the 50s. Is give me some quick scores, and I think. Excuse me. I think Seattle has the potential, to score 2 or 3 touchdowns of 40 or more yards in this game. And so, that's kind of the thing that I would be looking at. I think the receivers, and Seattle falls behind. I think you're going to see the potential of both their outside receivers, have a chance to go over 100 yards in receiving. And that's going to force the Chargers to score more points. And like I said, there's got to be some kind of line on, will Eckler score a rushing and a receiving touchdown? These are the kinds of things that I would be looking at in this game. Whatever, assume that there's going to be 55 to 60 points scored, and now look at some of those lines and say, well, if Seattle's going to score 25 points, then Lockett's going to get 100 yards in receiving, and so look at the total, look at those numbers in that viewpoint rather than they just scored 19 points last game. They're not a great offense. It depends on how the game is played. Like I said, Seattle hangs in there for a long time. Well, then you were wrong, and you're going to lose all these over type things that you bet. But if the Chargers, like I can see here, jump out 10-0. Next thing you know, it's 24-14 at halftime, and both teams come out in the second half thinking, "All right, hey guys, more of the same." Let's make this a 38-24 game, and then you're going to be cashing in on pretty much everything that you took on the over in terms of receiver yards and touchdowns for these kinds of over type of totals.
Yep. Okay. All right. So we could have a fun game with fantasy implications galore there as well. Okay, Dave, enjoy the games, man. Have a fun time this weekend.
Okay.
We appreciate it.
Do.
Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Dave Del Grande with Field Level Media in the Bay Area, San Francisco. We will be back after this. Do you want to advertise with Deep End Broadcasting? Send us an email at deepend757@yahoo.com. That's deepend757@yahoo.com.
Know your gambling limits. Don't ever bet what you can't cover. Wagering on sports is only fun when you do it the right way. Not every bet will win. When you get on a bad run, know it and avoid trouble. Know your gambling limits.
Dependable Solutions can provide all voiceover services for your advanced audio production needs. Think of us as an inexpensive option, no matter what the size of the project is. From one-word cameos to full script productions, contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517. Do you want to advertise with Deep End Broadcasting? Send us an email at deepend757@yahoo.com. That's deepend757@yahoo.com.
Control your alcohol. Don't fight. Don't drink and drive. Your one punch could kill someone. It happens. If you're behind the wheel, you may think you are fine, but then the other driver is under the influence of texting, and then you are done. Control your alcohol.
7:26 a.m. live on the East Coast, October the 23rd, 2022. This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network. I am Stephen Murray. You're listening to the Round Robin. Nephew Dave will be popping in the studio here in a second. We're broadcasting from our studios live in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We come on early every Sunday, right around 6 a.m., maybe 6:05 like today, bringing you your first live take of the Sunday NFL sports action. Look at weather, odds, recap a few things, get the East Coast perspective from our boys coming in here soon, Nephew Dave and the Ant-Man, and we just covered the West Coast perspective with Dave Del Grande with Field Level Media. So not a lot of the games to talk with him about, and we'll get into those as well. As, like we said, the usual suspects of the AFC West and NFC West that we usually deal with. A lot of them happen to play each other today. So that narrows down the menu of what we get into with those guys. Okay, so teams with a bye. Let's get into that first. And then we're going to go ahead and look at survivor picks. We're going to go down the list of the schedule and the odds again one more time, where we stand right now. And we're going to identify who is a crap team and who has an elite-ish defense. What the 49ers did last week against Atlanta makes me want to say that they are maybe not so elite after all. So are there any elite defenses? Probably not, but we're going to try to keep an eye on a few. Jacksonville, they are high on my list as well. And Jacksonville, they gave up all those points to Matt Ryan and passing yards. So hard to have faith in them. They'll have a chance to rebound again today. Nephew Dave is in the studio.
Good morning.
Let me get your mic up there, Nephew Dave. There we go.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy to be here.
How are you?
Doing well. It's been a good weekend so far, so hope to keep it rolling today.
Yeah. So Nephew Dave's coming in with some confidence this morning, as we had a good day, both of us actually yesterday. Dave actually on the show with his picks last week. There you go. Pops up the graphic there of Dave. 2-1 on his alt lines plays. The only thing he missed here was the alternate under in the San Fran game. But that game shot out of the gate to a high-scoring game and then slowed down dramatically. So he was on the right side of things. That's what's going to happen sometimes. You're going to feel like you're on the right side. And Dave, this is going to be my greatest. This is why you should never give up, okay, on your over/under or your play. I'll tell you the story here now. So Dave, like the alternate under, was it 34.5 in San Francisco?
Yeah, I think I moved it to right at 35, or I think it was right at 35 even.
And they ended up with 42, but they had 28 points right into the second quarter.
Right.
So it slowed down dramatically. But 3-0, if you took Dave's place straight up, and maybe that's the lesson here, is you don't move the alt lines and you just do straight plays. Someone told me that the other day. Our boy Steve in the watering hole. A second shout out to him today. You're getting a lot of pub time. But Steve said that, why don't you just do these straight? And I'm like, that's no fun. And I don't want to bet a lot to win a lot either. But if you've been following the plays, Dave goes 2-1 with his alt line picks and 3-0. On the contrary, but the same in a way, which makes this even crazier, I went 1-4 on the alt lines. My teams had to come back from deficits. I had the Bengals. Your other winners, real quick, Dave, were under in the Rams game, which hit.
Yep.
And then you like the Patriots, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so I like the Patriots as well. And then I liked they killed it easily. Minnesota, they won, but then covered the big number. I like the Bengals. They won, then covered the big number. I did lean over in that game, but we had to make things official, so I chose the Bengals. Side note there. So I was definitely right there with an alternate over with that guy. 49ers were my clunk pick of the week. They stunk it up against the Falcons. And then I think my other loser was whoever it was. They still covered the spread. They didn't just win by a monster margin. I can't remember what it was at this point. I think that's what it was.
Right.
Bengals. Yeah. Alternate. No, this is a clunker too. alternate over Packers Jets. That never got off the ground. Green Bay, what are you doing? I'm glad we went to the game. We did, Dave.
Right.
A lot more fun to watch that than it was to watch the game with the Jets and the Packers on TV last night.
And if I can say real quick, we're talking about that Patriots pick from last week. I'm kind of kicking myself, man. I had them. I moved the spread a little bit, not a lot, just to make it some plus money. And man, the result from that, I should have followed your lead on that, Steve, and I should have went up more on that spread because they handled their business, and they covered mine, which again was pretty low. They covered mine with super ease. So definitely should have moved that up. You sometimes get a little gun shy, but overall I felt really good about that pick, and just wanted to throw it out there, give you some kudos there, Uncle Steve. Should have followed your lead a little bit in moving that spread up just a little bit more.
Well, Dave, Belichick, listen to me on this one, Dave.
You were right.
Move it to where you want to Monday night right now against the Bears. Fields against Belichick is going to be a complete mismatch. It's just that's just the way I see that breaking down. It's the same old song and dance with Bill Belichick. And for him to go against that new coaching staff and Justin Fields, that has literally shut out 6 points. Maybe the Patriots get sloppy on their end of the offense and give the Bears good field position that the Bears can capitalize on. But if they make them go the long field, tomorrow night is going to be real tough sledding for Chicago and what will be a very raucous crowd up in New England. As Dave Grandi thinks it's funny that the quarterback controversy may exist in New England, but I'm telling you, people, it is there. It is there if you read between the lines. I would say 80% of people are willing to concede and give Mac Jones the opportunity back. But of those 80%, half of them were like, he better watch himself. His leash may actually be really, really short in this circumstance. The Patriots don't want to move forward and then move backwards. They don't move backwards in October, November. They always move forward. And there is precedence for it because Tom Brady, when Bledsoe was knocked out, and I was randomly, Dave, this is going to be a random fact of my life, I was at the game in which Tom Brady came in for Drew Bledsoe when he was knocked out with a separated lung by Jets linebacker Mo Lewis. Bledsoe never saw the field again until the playoffs when Brady got dinged up in the AFC Championship game. Bledsoe had to come in, and then there was a question who's going to start the Super Bowl, and Belichick went with Brady. And you see how that turned out. They beat the Rams 20-17. So there is a precedent for Bill Belichick to do that sort of thing. And Bailey Zappi is right there waiting in the wings. If he's not going to play tomorrow night, it looks like Mac Jones will. The leash, I'm going to tell you, is going to be pretty short on that. But I think you can name the number tomorrow night, and I'll throw that out as one of my picks now since we're talking about it. The Patriots on the Monday night game right now, they're just laying 7.5 points. The over-under is 40.5. And the Patriots could get 40 themselves, to be honest. If the offense clicks better than advertised, I think our boy from Baylor, Twaquan, coming in there with 2 touchdowns last week, he can provide some skill at wide receiver, and you might start to see the Pats rack up a lot more points. And they've scored 50 points, 45 points still on their team last year. It's not like they just kind of sputter down the field and win a defensive battle like a Wisconsin in college or in Iowa. That's not the case. The Patriots can put up points if they don't shoot themselves in the foot. That was the big problem early with Mac Jones with the interceptions and bad spots. Zappi gets his opportunity. He plays well. Mac Jones coming back. We shall see.
In my opinion, I'd be surprised if the Bears even touched 13 points The way that New England defense has been playing, it's definitely been a strong suit for you guys. So I'll definitely be looking into that. If I don't play it today, I'll definitely play it tomorrow, and maybe some kind of same game parlay, or I might pair it with a little bit of hockey, because we'll have a slate of that on Monday. That's a different story, but yeah, I'm definitely going to look into playing that Patriots game. Just going to see what we can do with it. Definitely going to move that spread. Learned my lesson with them last week. The Bears, they're not good. And with that defense, like I said, I don't see them. If I don't see any more than 13 points for the Bears, so definitely going to look into that. Like I said, if it's not played today, it'll probably definitely be played, at least for me, tomorrow.
All right. Yeah. I've actually went ahead and played it. And that's part of my round robin. I wanted to, I learned my lesson from the show. I was telling the listeners that from the get-go. And if you're joining us late, we are getting on a little bit of a hot streak here in the studio ourselves. So with the excitement, we haven't gotten much sleep. So you might have to bear with us on that one. Not that I was partying all night or anything. I definitely kept it good. But, you get the adrenaline flowing late night after you get a nice hit. You don't get much sleep. But anyway, the lesson to be learned from this own show is that I just tried to take the best plays on the board, no matter what they were. And that happened to be my best NBA play, which was over Celtics Pacers. My best NHL play that was going to pay good odds. I bought the Flyers just because they've been hot. They've had a few nights off. I think they came up short at Florida the other night. Then they lose by 1 goal, but they played very well. But that was their only loss of the season. They beat Tampa and Nashville. I'm just not a believer in them. They're a little overhyped. They were a heavy favorite.
I'm starting to lean that way with you, Steve. I had some hopes for them. And
it's early. It's
early, but I don't like what I see so far.
Well, they blew a big lead to the Blue Jackets too, and I had the Blue Jackets that night minus 1.5, and they overcame the 2-goal deficit to cover that. And they got it late too. So we had the Flyers. I like the over in the Kansas State game, and TCU. TCU can put up points. Kansas State, I figured, could get theirs too. They got the bulk of it in the first half, so that carried its way through. The Phillies with momentum, I thought, was going to be a good play, and the over combined. So that was a nice payout in that end. And then the other one was, that was it. So Flyers, Phillies, over Pacers, and Celtics. They lit it up. Yeah, Paulo Banchero. Orlando, watch out for them to be a higher scoring team too. Lots of games are trending way over last night. They let up. The Boston game was really the only one to get there. It looked like Denver did too. But it was just a fun night, a good one, and we're trying to roll with that, like you said again today. So let's go down the menu. Here are the updated lines. Exercise right now. Survivor pick today. Elite defense. Or are you a crappy team going to get on some sort of a run to where you're going to catch some points and you're going to get lots of value right now. So Lions, Cowboys, 6.5 right now for Dallas. These are all 1:00 games, right? The over-under right now is 48.5. Dave, any survivor picks for you here?
Obviously, if you have the Cowboys still on the board for you, I think they're definitely a live play. Detroit, they can get theirs, but the thing is their defense is awful.
I think I would want to trust Dallas as a survivor player.
Absolutely.
So if you have them, I think that's a very safe pick. As far as really good defenses, you keep Dallas on that list for now.
Yes.
And Detroit, not on that list of good defenses. Detroit is, I don't want to call them a stinky because they've been kind of fun to watch. They've been competitive, but man, they're heading towards.
I think they're flirting with it.
If they lose a couple spreads here in a row, and Dallas just having to win by 7 or more. man, that looks like almost an easy one to take.
Right.
This could be a bloodbath on the hands of the players today on the bookies, to be honest. If a lot of these favorites get home against some of these poorer teams on the road, this could be a bad day for the books, especially if there's some blowouts, to be honest.
Well, we're hoping because we're rolling. We've got to keep it rolling.
My trends, when I look at everything, is kind of what I've gone with. -2.5 with the Colts -2.5 with the Titans in Nashville hosting the Colts, over under 41.5. No eliteness yet, and I wanted to call the Colts stinky, but they're 3-2-1, so I guess I can't. But they might be the stinkiest 3-2-1 team I've ever seen.
I think so.
So nothing much there. Jags and Giants, I don't see any survivor. This is a crazy game. The Giants defense seems to win them games, and the offense just has to do enough plays. I would say you put the Giants as one of the better defenses right now. I want to give that credit to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know how I can. Would they let Matt Ryan with no receivers and no running back light him up last week? I mean, it's hard for me to put the Jaguars out there. Anything with you? What's your perception of the Giants, Dave? Let me ask you that. They're the one team that's the mystery good team still.
Right. It's funny with them, man, because you're thinking coming out of the gate, we're getting, into the season now. They're a team that people thought were gonna be bad again, maybe starting to get on the upswing, but I don't think anybody saw 5-1 coming. And I believe I was doing a little research, and they're looking to go 6-1 for the first time since 2008, I believe. And I think they're in a really good spot to do that today against the Jaguars. I know we talked a little bit about it this morning, Steve, because I was absolutely shocked that they are the dog today. They're at plus 140 on the money line. So once we, I guess, get into the different plays of each game, I think this is one that we could probably do quite a bit with. I know for me, I made a late night, like Steve said. You had the adrenaline going. It's hard to go to bed. So I was playing around with it a little bit. I do have them in a 3-leg that I made last night. I took them on the money line just because at plus 140 with the way they've been playing. I know you said there might be some injury concerns over there, but if they keep playing the way they're playing, I don't see any reason that they can't beat Jacksonville. Even if it's a clunky game, I still think they win by 3 or more points. So just the money line alone is something to look at, but we'll look into moving that spread too. But yeah, I'm really surprised that the Giants are the underdog right now. So we'll definitely look into that more.
We talked about listening to our own advice earlier, and man, this game just wasn't on my radar just because of that whole Cinderella Jacksonville factor.
Right.
Kind of. And, Saquon Barkley, we need to get the Ant-Man in here because we need to make sure that he's going to be in the lineup. But you know what? I think you're right. I think that how are the Giants the underdog in this case? It's kind of shocking when you kind of step back and look at it with their 5-1 record. Man, I could see this. I could see the Giants winning this.
Yeah,
and almost convincingly.
It's shocking to me. So I think we can find a ton of value in this game, and I think once we get into our full breakdown,
we'll look at some all lines.
We're gonna
get paid out because I'm gonna get enticed for sure.
Oh yeah, so we'll look at this one more. I think there's a lot to be played here.
Okay, so Giants on your elite defensive list so far. Cowboys on that as well. And when I say elite, you're just talking about the better ones of the NFL. We're not talking about 85 Bears here.
Right.
I don't think anyone's proven it to be that. There's going to be no 85 Bear defense this year.
Not even close, really.
There's one team I'm going to tell you this. We're going to get to that. People are going to step back and say, "What? They're not going to be 85 Bears-ish, but they could be really, really, really good." New England Patriots. I'll just tell you now. Okay, Falcons, Bengals, survivor pick. I could take Cincinnati on that.
Maybe makes me nervous though.
Yeah, Falcons, like you said, 6-0 against the spread. And the Ant-Man looked to me like I was a lunatic.
Covering machine.
When I took the 49ers last week, and he was completely right. So he can rub that in my face if he wants to some more. Packers at Commanders. I don't think there's any elite. Well, the Commanders are flirting with Stinky.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure. That's just the general trend. That organization. Dave, here's your platform for your team that you've supported your whole life.
Unfortunately,
here's your 3 minutes. Go ahead and step on top of your soapbox, and you address Washington football team, Commanders Nation as you want to right now as a spokesperson. You say what you want.
So
Commanders catching 4.5 at home, 41.5, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Right. So obviously, we're not very happy with how this season has started. There was a lot more optimism, I think, with most of us, although being a Skins, Commandos, whatever you call them now, fan, not to get too excited with them too early and too quickly, as they usually always let you down. But we're sitting at 2-4. Carson Wentz is out for about 4 to 6 weeks. And honestly, I kind of say good. The offense, there's just too many players on this offense for them to be doing what they're doing. It seems in the first half anyway, they can't score more than, 6 points. They've been doing it all year. And then, they finally get a little something going in the second half when it's just already too late. Chase Young is still out. He may be at practice, though. I think we might see him by week 8, I believe, against the Colts. So that'll be good. Mix it up on the defensive line because that's the strong suit of our team. So having him back in that rotation, I think, will definitely help. I'm not saying it's the season save all, but it's definitely going to help because we have a lot of guys on that front that can get after the quarterback. The weak link really is the secondary. Teams throw all over us. So that's the consensus there. But I think, I'm not saying we're going to win the game, but I think with Taylor Heineke coming in today, I think we see a little bit more from the offense. And I don't know why Carson Wentz was not getting the ball to Scary Terry McLaurin. And, you go out, you get him a fresh new deal. Arguably one of the best receivers in the league right now. I'm sure there's some people that'll have some qualms with that statement, but whatever. So, and Heineke's favorite target is Scary Terry. So you probably looked for him to maybe have somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 targets today. And if we can get him going, there's Samuel out there, and we need to check on Dotson's status to see if he's coming back. But just the 3 of them guys out there, that's plenty of talent to get some points scored. And Heineke, he can move. I think he's got more mobility than Wentz does. So I'm actually kind of excited to see if the offense can pick it up a little bit. And if so, I think they can at least try and hang in with Green Bay. Rodgers, he doesn't really have many guys to throw it to. And if you can get pressure on him, make him uncomfortable, I think there's a chance to at least be close come the fourth quarter. So we'll see what happens. And as far as we know the Packers have a defense, Steve. I don't know that we're quite putting them elite just yet. But their weak link is they sometimes have difficulty stopping the run. So we got to get guys like Brian Robinson and even Antonio Gibson. You have to get these guys going today. Mix it up, have them pounding the rock throw in a little play action, Taylor Heineke rollout, bam, Scary Terry's 30 yards down the field, first down. There you go. So that's what we're going to be looking for today. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, throw it over the top. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not saying we're going to win, but I'm a little bit more optimistic.
So Terry McLaurin receiving props. That's something that we should pay.
Absolutely.
We'll look at that when we get into the deep dive. But there you go, Dave. There's your I would say that's an optimistic message to Commanders Nation, their fan base. You didn't go the negative route.
I certainly could have.
You didn't even touch it, to be honest. You certainly could have. You went the positive route, very optimistic for the Commanders at home against the Packers and what will be a stadium filled of green today on the road. And trust me, this is not the first time Daniel Snyder's been public enemy number one. It's been very, very long time. And 3 years ago when the Patriots played there and we went to the Pats and the Redskins at the time, they were still the Redskins, I believe. It was nothing but blue in these parking lot.
Yeah,
there was not any burgundy to be seen, and it was kind of surreal in that way. That told you what.
Washington home field advantage means absolutely nothing for us. Most of the time, there's more fans of the opposing team there, which really, honestly, for good reason. Like you said, I didn't touch on the negativity. I still have the feel good of some winnings this weekend, so I'm trying to stay positive on this Sunday here.
I like how you throw that into to the show.
It's a dumpster fire there in Washington, so I'm not surprised by that. It's been that way for what seems to be the last year or so. Home field advantage for us means absolutely nothing.
All right, speaking of winning and losing, Tom Brady minus 13.5 at Carolina Panthers today. Carolina is the mess. 38.5 is the over-under. Panthers are on the stink list, official, no doubt. And I'm going to lay the wood against them today. I think the Buccaneers, if you have them in Survivor, go ahead and use them.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're still in your Survivor, you don't have much left anyway as far as competition goes. And if you're in Survivor, chances are you haven't used the Bucs because there's a good chance you could have been bounced by now. A lot of people use them, I think, against Atlanta already. That would be the one week everyone used them.
Right.
So the Buccaneers today at the Panthers, I don't see how Carolina does anything. I don't know. You have any other take on that, Dave? Bucs, no elite defense for the Bucs. Stinky list for sure for the Panthers. And bad team going good. I'm not going to call the Bucs a bad team. They'll be right there at the end of the mix.
Right.
We'll see what kind of run they make down the road. Any take for this for you?
So when we get to our deep dive here, Steve, I like this game for maybe not quite that spread because it seems that sometimes they can struggle offensively a little bit. I'm going to take a good hard look at a alternate under here.
You already alternate under King, Dave.
Oh yeah,
your money with him. I think you're actually except for the San Fran game, which did go under, by the way.
Yeah,
you've been alternate under for the most part.
So that's what I'm going to take a look at. I'm going to, because I have 39 over here, Steve.
Yep.
So I'm going to look to bring that down probably considerably and hope that Carolina maybe just gets a field goal. They're just a bad team. They're trading players away. It's time for a rebuild there in Carolina. They know it. So really, what are they going to do? They're not going to do much is what I'm going to tell you right now. So I'm hoping for maybe, 24-3. We'll see how it goes. But when we do the deep dive, we're going to look at that under pretty hard.
All right, 4:05 Eastern games now, or 4:25, but the 4 o'clock block. Texans and the Raiders. The Raiders are -7. 45.5 is the over-under right now. I think a lot of people want to put the Texans on the stinky list. I'm not ready to do that. I'm going to give – they play hard, I feel like. In fact, I think their defense, you can almost put – you're not going to put them on an elite list, let's be honest. And elite just meaning good for our elite pockets,
right?
Money-making circumstances of the show, not 85 Bears elite. Okay, so let's get that clear. Texans on the decent list for defense. I'm going to give them that opportunity to be a lot better today if they can shut down the Raiders in Vegas and actually get a win out there. The Raiders don't have any sort of elite defense. The Raiders are a bad team, though, that can go on a run at 1-4. I could see this team turning their season around and actually making the playoffs still. There's a lot of wide openness in the AFC right now. And the Raiders, if they can string some wins together, they're right up in there. And the Texans, the same for them. If they string wins together, they can be in the fight for their division, to be honest. So no survivor here for me. Watch out for the Texans defense and watch out for the Raiders as a bad team covering mass spreads going forward. A team you can hop on the bandwagon now if you want to buy the Raiders. Even as 7-point favorites today, they're going to get probably better odds when they have their schedule coming up. I'll have to take a look at their schedule here. Let's see if we can just find that real quick. I want to see the Raiders schedule. Can the Raiders go on a run?
Well, I think it's something to note too, Steve, that I think, and it sounds weird, but I think they're actually a decent 1-4 team. If you look at their losses, none of their losses are by much. I actually don't think any of their losses are by any more than a touchdown.
Where the Colts are the worst 3-2-1 team ever. The Raiders
couldn't agree more.
1-4 team. The Raiders could go on a run. They got the Texans. They have at the Saints. They can win that game. They're at the Jaguars. They can win that game. They host the Colts. They can win that game. They're at the Broncos. They can win that game. They're at the Seahawks. They can win that game. They host the Chargers. They can win that game. They're at the Rams. They can win that game. They host the Patriots. Hard game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The Raiders could get on a good run here.
I think they could.
Let's watch out for that bad team turning into really good team moving forward. The Jets and the Broncos. The Jets are -1.5. No Russell Wilson at the Broncos, over under 36.5. 4:05 Eastern Standard Time. When we talked to Dave Del Grande, that was yesterday recorded, so everyone knows. So when we talked about Russell Wilson, we did not know, and then as soon as we got off the air, no Russell Wilson. So that's how that plays out. If you saw the graphic, we put that on here anyways. So Jets -1.5 at the Broncos. No elite defenses here, although Denver has a decent defense. Although I'm not convinced it's a good defense either, to be honest. They do have defensive capabilities. The Jets, sneaky good defense.
Yes.
The over-under's low here. Bad teams getting good moving forward. I'm not going to buy it with the Broncos. The Jets are already a good team. So could they be a good team going bad? Yeah. People, I mean, if you look at the division odds themselves, that's probably says that. Let's just see that real quick. NFL futures. If you want to look at the winners of the AFC East, the Jets are still getting paid 21-1 odds. Actually, everyone in the AFC East is getting paid really good odds.
I'm sure.
You could take everyone across the board and not take Buffalo. And if something happened to Allen or something like that, you could make a lot of money, to be honest. Sidetrack. So Dolphins plus 1,400 to win the AFC East. Patriots plus 1,700. And the Jets plus 2,100. So even if you put 100 on all three of those, the bet that the Bills just don't win it, you're going to get paid good. You'll lose the other two, but you'll win a big payout, minimum 1,200. We're going to have a good lesson about that at some point, Dave. Actually, this is what this show's about.
Right.
Man, I meant to tell you my best winning story of all time, too. Okay, pause time real quick because we still have to wait for the Ant-Man to get in here. So pause time. Pause time from the menu and Survivor. Okay, so my best to win ever, and this is why you should never give up on the under. Let's rewind to that.
All right.
6-game parlay. All the legs hit. The sketchiest leg of them all was I had under 59.5, which is a ridiculous over-under in the NFL. It was the Peyton Manning Colts against the greatest show on turf, Rams. They had 49 points at halftime. It was 28-21 at halftime. I was like, all right, it's still not over. I have 10 points left. Let's just hope for a miracle. Sure enough, they go through the third quarter. Yeah, no touchdown. I'm like, okay, we're alive. Fourth quarter, they get a touchdown. So they get to 56 points. Over under is 59.5. Someone gets a field goal. We're on 59 points combined. And then as the game's drawing down with 4 minutes left, I need under 59.5. This is the last leg of a 6-game parlay. This is back in the old school. You send your money into the Western Union to the offshore book in Antigua or whatever it is, and they send it back to you. So this would be in so the Manning Colts against the Kurt Warner Rams, the greatest show on turf. So that's going to be in the early 2000s, 2002, 2003, something like that. So Dre Bly is on the Rams, and he's from Chesapeake, Virginia. All right, went to I forget what high school he went to. Did he go to Indian River? I can't remember. But he in Chesapeake, Virginia, Dre Bly, so he's a local boy to us. So Peyton Manning and the Colts are going into the end zone, and they're going to blow my over-under out of the water. I gave up 49 points in the first half. I've managed to only give up 10 in the second half. We're under 59.5. They're on 59. And on the deep corner pass, Dre Bly picks off Peyton Manning and secures the 6-game parlay winner. So that's the greatest. Never give up on your over-under bets. Your story following up how your 49ers Falcons bet went from 28 points fast to not getting over 42 total for the game. Okay, so that we put that to bed. Lesson to be learned here. And we just talked about it here with the AFC East. If you want to just fade Buffalo right now and take all the other 3 teams, you can get a big payout if the Dolphins, Patriots, or Jets just happen to win that division. So if you put 100 on each of them, you could get 14-1 odds on one, 17-1 on the Patriots, and then 21-1 on the Jets. 100 across the board. If you just get one of those to hit, you'll lose the other 2, but your minimum profit is $1,200.
Right.
On a fade of the Bills. So 4-1 basically on the field, more than 4-1 on the average, but you're getting a good payback. So World Series, and we did this with the Nationals against the Astros. So we have Phillies and Astros likely coming up as both teams just need a win to clinch in the World Series.
Right.
So you can get the straight money line, which will give you the Phillies, I'm going to guess, somewhere 2-1 odds, plus 225. The Astros will be the favorite to beat the Phillies in the World Series.
No doubt.
But I don't think you're going to get much more than 2 plus 250. Maybe you even get 3-1. But if you look at the exact series, if you like the Phillies, you'll want to take them to win 4-0 because they're going to get like 20-1 on the sweep. To win 4-1, they'll get like 13-1 to win in 5 games. And then in 5 and 6 games, they'll get paid 8 or 9-1, either or. So really, if you put down the $100, you're going to get at least plus 500 worst case scenario on the money line return instead of you just took the series straight up at like plus 225 or whatever.
Right.
And if the Phillies do something like sweep and their bats get hot, and something like what's happening to the Yankees where the bats get cold happens to the Astros, then man, I mean that the Nationals, in my eyes, could have swept the Astros last time. They were up 2-0. I was facing a huge payout, and they still won. They still won in 7. That was a nice payout overall. But something like that could get home if you really like the Phillies. Ride them to win in every exact series spread. 4-0, 4-1, 4-2, 4-3. You'll make a lot more money that way than the straight up series. So that's a good lesson for you guys. All right, there you go. Back to the menu. I love how I could get off track completely on this.
It happens so easily.
Oh, yeah, I know. Someone goes, you're all over the place. I'm like, dude, I start to bring up something and I never finish the story. I always end up on something else. Okay. Next game, Chargers, Seahawks. I don't see any stinkiness. I don't see any eliteness. And quite frankly, they're both average to decent teams at this point. So no one's going to surprise anyone there. I don't see any survivor implications either. Do you?
No, none.
Okay. All right. 49ers, Chiefs. 49ers, their defense gives up their elite factor last week, but they're a good defense.
Good defense, yeah.
They still could be elite to our money-making pockets. Really, though, you need to be beating the Rams. I'm sorry, the Falcons at home or on the road when you stay, especially golfing in West Virginia all week and not traveling. So that was my clunker pick. It was so frustrating. That was so frustrating watching that. So Chiefs, 49ers, both good teams. They're not going to surprise anyone moving forward. You put the 49ers on the elite defensive list. I don't think you put the Chiefs on there. And I don't. If you want to play one of these as Survivor, it's your money.
Yeah, no doubt.
Miami is at the Steelers tonight. Miami's a big favorite, 7.5, 44.5. 8:20 is the kickoff time. I don't see any elite defense in this moving forward. It looks like the Steelers are getting healthy.
Yeah, trying to
ask
anyway.
Anthony about that. I did not see many. I didn't see much on their injury report, actually. So where the Dolphins is a loaded injury report. So Steelers at Miami. Miami is a minus 7.5 point favorite, over under 44.5. No elite defenses here in my books. No survivor pick. Bad teams moving forward. I think the Steelers are on that list for sure.
Absolutely.
They are only a game back at 2-4. They're only a game back of their division lead. And if you want to talk about NFL futures on the Steelers at just one game back to win their division, they are paying 22-1 odds.
Could still happen.
They could definitely at 22-1. I think you're definitely priced in. I played a few crazy ones so far. Man, I mean, if you wanted to do something like, because the Raiders are going to go on a big run and the Steelers, you could do, let me get rid of these soccer picks I got up here. I got the Friday soccer picks that were all losers, overs from the show. Hey, that's the name of the game. All right, we're going to lose some and win some, but when we lose, it's going to be the minimum and win the maximum. If you want the Raiders and Steelers to come back and win their divisions right now, $10 will pay you $5,740.
Not bad for a 10 spot.
I think I would be invested in that. Even if you wanted to hook like the Eagles to that, which I wouldn't do. If you want to put the Cowboys in there, you can still do that. The Cowboys, Steelers, Raiders parlay to come back and win their division. And we just talked about the Raiders' schedule. They could win a lot of games coming up. The Steelers are just one game back of their division, and the Cowboys are just one game back of theirs. So at that 3-game parlay for those three to win that division, $10 pays $37,365 on $10.
Not a bad play, I don't think.
The Raiders would have to go on a run. Basically, the AFC West beats up each other, and the Raiders just keep winning games.
Right. Well, I mean, it could happen.
Yeah, that's a formula that could happen. That could happen today. Both the Chargers and the Chiefs could both lose today.
Right.
And the Raiders win, and then they're right back in the thick of the hunt. I'm going to have to play around with a few of these here when we get off the air for sure. And the other thing is, too, if you want to round robin something like that, you can play all three of those, and you have 3 different 2-game parlays, and it looks like on the average, one of those is going to be dramatic because if the Steelers and Raiders were to do it and the Cowboys weren't, that would be a much bigger payout. But the 3 parlays average about $3,000 a piece, just on $10. So a $40 round robin there pays you $40,000 on $40. If you think the Raiders can go on a run The Steelers win their division back a game. Cowboys win their division back a game.
Could happen. That's it's a sneaky little play
That's
there.
why we listen to the show. But think for yourself, people. It's just some of the stuff you can do. Trust your convictions and trust your gut. And don't be afraid to pull the trigger on some of these things. That's just going to be the lesson there. All right. Patriots and Bears. I'm going to give survivor pick Patriots. Elite defense, Patriots. And bad teams moving forward. Patriots have been that team. They've already been that team. They're playing that rollout right now. Another winnable game for them. And if they win this, that's 3 in a row. Bears go to the list of stink, to be honest. I think
they might be headlining that list.
You know what? I mean, so the stink list is this. It's Washington and Chicago completely, right?
Yep.
And that's really about it.
They're making their home on that list.
Some teams are vying for stink. That would be like the Saints, I think. There's some other teams.
Colts.
Detroit. The Colts still.
Even at 3-2, yeah, I still think they're not very good. That's just my opinion.
So that's your list. Good defenses, again, are going to be 49ers, Cowboys, Eagles, Patriots, maybe the Texans. Watch out for them sneakily. Denver, decent. Pittsburgh, watch out for their defense if it gets healthy. I think Buccaneers, yeah. So there's your Buffalo. You put them on that list.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there you go. And bad teams moving forward. Raiders. That's the prime one. They got a good winnable schedule coming up. Okay, so let's go ahead and I had us on pause. We'll get the music going. The Pie Taster is the house band of Deep End Broadcasting and the Round Robin. We'll get their docile tones for you coming up. Also, we're going to go do the deep dive menu after the break. We're going to go game by game, alt lines, touchdown scores, fantasy angles, everything we need to know. We're going to try to bang on the wall and get the Ant-Man in here. We'll see where he is. He's mysterious in his ways. So we'll have to make sure that he pops up. Otherwise, I'm going to have to play the injury report, Dave, here from the desk.
All right.
And I'll play the weatherman. It looks like weather's not really much of an issue going forward today. Miami, that's one weather I'll have to check out. But before I get into any more weather, I'm going to make sure I get on the adequate website of my liking. People I don't think like me watching me play up-to-date weatherman at 6:10 in the morning.
Right.
When I've been excited for winning bets all night, like you have been.
I know. We're riding the adrenaline, not much sleep Saturday.
Yeah. Okay. So, a lot of fun stuff coming up. The music should start be playing any minute. So we're just got to hold down.
Here's something to think about, Steve, before the music hits. Now I know we're about 3 hours away from DC, but we're supposed to have a little bit of weather here today. So maybe we need to reach out and look at DC if they get a little bit of rain showers up there.
I saw 25%. It didn't look like it was anything too crazy.
And so, probably nothing much up there.
We're talking about an Aaron Rodgers who's used to that kind of thing.
Right.
You would think. Taylor Heineke, I don't think it'll affect him.
No.
Fun times coming up. Here are the Pie Tasters. Commercial break. We'll be back in a few minutes. Do you want to advertise with Deep End Broadcasting? Send us an email at deepend757@yahoo.com. That's deepend757@yahoo.com.
Control your alcohol. Don't fight. Don't drink and drive. Your one punch could kill someone. It happens. If you're behind the wheel, you may think you are fine, but then the other driver is under the influence of texting, and then you are done. Control your alcohol.
Tired of your swimming pool's diatomaceous earth pool filter? The constant cleaning, green pool, cloudy water? I thought this was supposed to be clean. Trust your swimming pool's water quality with a custom sand filter install. A clean, easy solution for your swimming pool operations. Contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517.
You said it was a waste of time. You said that I would change my mind. You said I'd lose my only chance to go and get out. It turns out you don't really know what you've been missing, my friend. And you might have her now. I got something better. Never took a chance on fate, and more than comes to those who wait. And if there is a lady love, I'll never let her. You never get a chance for life unless you live it, my friend. And you might have her now. I got something better. You said it was a waste of time. You said that I would change my mind. You said I'd lose my only chance to go and get out. It turns out you don't really know what you've been missing, my friend. And you might have her now. I got something better. And you might have her now. I got something better. And you might have her now. I got something better.
Know your gambling limits. Don't ever bet what you can't cover. Wagering on sports is only fun when you do it the right way. Not every bet will win. When you get on a bad run, know it and avoid trouble. Know your gambling limits.
Text the round robin your questions, comments, wagers. Give us a reason. Sleeper fantasy play, your best alternative line, whatever you have. Text the round robin 757-354-5517. Welcome back. This is the Round Robin, 8:24 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, October the 23rd, 2022. This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network. I am Stephen Murray. This is the Round Robin live from Virginia Beach, Virginia. This is your first look live every Sunday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Your first look at lines, weather, start to break some things down, and get into the real thick of it as we do our last two segments, which start now. Our full breakdown, all lines, touchdown score, opportunities, injuries, everything we need to know about every single game. We will go down the list. Nephew Dave, myself on board, and the Ant-Man is injured. He is mysteriously injured, and he will join us when he reemerges from his cocoon, whenever that may be. Who knows? That could be minutes. That could be days. That could be weeks. That could be months. So this is your deep dive with me and Dave. I'm going to have to play injury list guy today, but I think we'll, me and Dave are on the hot streak. We're the ones you want to listen to anyway. But I have your up-to-date injuries and everything going on there. So a deep dive with all of this. And I had some other stupid point I wanted to make, Dave. Oh, yes. Programming notes. What the puck is going on tomorrow, 6 p.m. Your look into Monday's slate of 6 hockey games and then 10 hockey games on Tuesday. Right. So we'll do a better job of getting into the Tuesday games this week as well. And we'll get up to date on the futures list. Teams having nice seasons out of the gates. Teams like the Buffalo Sabres, Philadelphia Flyers, we're on top of it. The Flyers get home with us yesterday. So what the puck is going on tomorrow night, 6 o'clock on the Monday. And we'll get into the NHL stuff with Nephew Dave on that. The Friday soccer paycheck next Friday, 4 p.m. Goals will be coming. We actually have 2 plays going now. And we're fortunate in one sense, Dave, not so much in the other, but still maybe not super fortunate. In the Swansea game, Dave, I have a red card against my opponent, but I only have 1 goal. We were 65 minutes in. I need 2 more there. Meanwhile, Watford is blowing out Luton Town. Watford, the right side, if you wanted multi-goals in that game. Or if you win an over, you might be hitting that as well. Luton skunked on the board, 3-0 Watford. So it's Friday soccer paycheck on Fridays. Aliens coming up down the road. NBA coming up down the road. Gym stuff coming up down the road. And pools coming up down the road. I have a very interesting plan for pools, Dave. Swimming pools, and the listeners who have swimming pools. It's going to be more comedy than anything. Trust me. Trust me on this, but it'll be worth the listen. So cross programming for sure all over Deep End Broadcasting, NFL wagering. The focus right now, 1 o'clock, David. See, this is why I need some more music for this production for our last deep dive, whatever you want to call this, last 2 segments. Cowboys and the Lions. The Cowboys, let's get an up-to-date line here. Let me log in here, people. Sorry, I didn't do this during break.
I have it at 6.5 right now.
I know you do, and I got it up here. Put it up for the listeners on our banner. But I want to see if I have any movement on my end because we've been having movement all along. And the operation is going quite slowly. So as I pull up this, I see alternate Cowboys potentially. I'm not going to have this for a play. I'm going to tell you that.
I don't like much with this. We'll try and find something here, but
I do like one. I do have a multi-leg touchdown score play already going. I'll give you those candidates as they go along. All right, I'm good into my menu finally. It's unbelievable how long it takes to log on to some of these things. So the Cowboys today, if you like them in some kind of blowout scenario, which could happen.
Yeah, the Detroit defense is bad. So, but how much can we move that?
Well, I'm going to consider a blowout 17 points or more. You're going to get plus 265 if the Cowboys win by 16 and a half. If you think Detroit can actually win this game, and man, so Detroit at minus 5.5 is plus 390. If you want to fade the Cowboys, which a lot of people like to do at times, I'm not prepared to do that in this spot today or recommend that on these airwaves. I don't know. I just smell overall. I'm going to smell an overall beaten. I don't want to say this to the bookie. I think the public obvious favorite sides might just be the way to go today.
Right.
I will never say that, to be honest. So I'm more of an underdog approach player first. I like to move my lines from dogs to favorites. That's kind of what I did yesterday in all my picks. I went from teams who weren't expected to win or lower scoring games being higher scoring games, et cetera, at least on the one that I hit. So I'm not going to be afraid to stretch favorites. If I need to put someone on that list today, I'm going to consider the Cowboys, although I did not make that official. I just think there's better ones on the board. I'm going to trust Jared Goff to be able to make some plays downfield and get some points up himself. Maybe the over is the way to look on this. If you like to, because I think Dallas gets theirs for sure. If you think Detroit can get theirs is going to be the question. And maybe I'm teaching myself something here now too. But even at over 55.5, you're only at plus 215. I don't think that's a super great payout. Over 59.5 to get the 60 points is plus 340. So you're talking a 41-21 game. I'm not. I could see this more 34, 17-ish. Yeah.
Right in that area.
So I'm going to pass on that. Let's see. As far as anytime touchdown scorers go, I'm going to take a look at Tony Pollard at plus 190. I like Tony Pollard. He's going to find the ball in some space against the Detroit defense, and that's going to come out of the backfield. Dak's going to give his guys some trust to get him. Dak Prescott will be in. So Dak Prescott will use Tony Pollard for sure today, and I would look at him at 2 touchdowns. If you want to look at Tony Pollard for 1 touchdown, definitely. For 2 touchdowns, I haven't made that jump yet. Let's see if I can talk myself into it. 14-1 for Tony Pollard to have 2 touchdowns. I think I could bite on that, right. To be honest. So, Dave, let me give you the injuries and the inactives for this, right. And then I'll go ahead and get your take. Let's see. Detroit and Dallas. So DJ Shark, the wide receiver, he is going to be out. There are no inactives for Dallas. No one else really that notable. Matt Nelson on the defensive tackle, and they'll be down a cornerback as well too. The Lions, so they are a little bit more of the banged up team coming in. Dallas looks to be completely healthy as far as that goes. Is there any other trending news besides Shark? No, that should be about it. So what do you got for this, David?
So I think it's not a game that I looked a whole lot at, but I like, if we're gonna do it, I kind of think we go kind of like you said with the blowout scenario. If they can win this game by 17 points, for me, I have plus 323. I like that number for that. I think it definitely could happen. Cowboys, we're talking about putting them on the elite defense list. So I could probably see that happening. So I think I would take it either a bumped up alt line or maybe, that Pollard for 2. That could be a good play. I'm still undecided, but I'm leaning towards kind of leaving this one alone. But there are a couple plays. Maybe I'll come back, hope for a Cowboys blowout, try and get that plus 300.
And weather won't be an issue in Dallas. All right. Yeah, Pollard for me. And there's all kinds of other fun stuff, but this is just a weird one. I think we're gonna get a lot of these. We might be going quicker through these games than we think today. That might spare the listeners and the viewers. You might get off early today. So Dallas, we'll move on from there. Next game on the list. I mean, I don't want anything to do with this. I'm going to look at a multi-touchdown scorer, maybe in Derrick Henry, but I know the payout's not going to be good. But the Titans are -2.5 at home against the Colts. Over under 41.5. My lesson that I like to teach is you try to find the best play on the board in your own opinion, and you ride with that, or best couple or 2 or 3 plays. If you have to find a dancing partner, you go with the next best options. I can't put this game, the Titans and the Colts, in any kind of category of anything that I want to play at all. But if you do like Tennessee in a blowout, let's see, what's Tennessee going to pay for 3 touchdowns? Because that's something I could actually see happening. If you really had to talk me into it, if I had to pick something, I would pick a mass destruction job on the hands of the Titans, but I don't think this is a very wise pick. So let's see here. Alternate points for Tennessee and Indianapolis. I know this is fun, clicking through the internet. It's just so terrible, man. It just does the same thing where you get ready to click on and then it scrolls away to the non-clicking point of the screen. You're like, dude, I was just here. The Titans, if you think that they can win by 2 touchdowns, okay, I would say that. I would give Tennessee credit for winning by 2 touchdowns for sure. Plus 330, a -12.5. You could talk me into worse things for sure. But if you think the Colts can win by 2 scores, I don't think either team blows out, but they can certainly win by 2 scores or more either way. If you like the Colts in a -12.5 scenario, that's plus 470, plus 520 at -13.5. I don't know. Do you like anything like that, Dave? Because one of those teams, if you had to pick one to win by 2 scores.
Oh, it would definitely be the Titans, that's for sure.
Okay. So
I still don't like much. I'm looking my way. If I was going to play anything here, I think it would be Derrick Henry for 2. I have him at plus 310.
I see plus 330. Okay.
So that's even better.
Yep.
That would probably be my takeaway from this. Derrick Henry, he scored 2 against my Commanders or Reds, whatever you call them. So I could see him doing it again. He's most of their offense anyway. So Derrick Henry for 2 probably be my only takeaway.
I know the Ant-Man's sleeper pick of Nyheim Hines that he likes is 37-1 to win 2 touchdowns, for 2 touchdowns. But he's coming off the concussion protocol.
Right.
Inactives today for the Colts. Anyone of note? Shaquille Leonard, the linebacker, is out. JoJo Doman is out. Kwity Paye is out. I don't know who that wide receiver is. So I guess that doesn't matter. Tennessee, no one really noticeable. They're missing a couple linebackers and Torrey Carter, the running back, which I don't think that matters if you have Derrick Henry. Let's be honest. Any other notable injuries for this game? I'm going to go through the whole list right now. All right, Dave, just from what I've seen here in the last few minutes. Here's your pause between games. Let's go through this now because I don't want to scroll down a list looking for players. Tyler Lockett, hamstring, expected to play today. Keenan Allen, game time decision, hamstring. Mark Andrews, expected to play. DeAndre Swift, not expected to play. Christian McCaffrey, expected to play. Jalen Waddle, shoulder injury, questionable. Van Jefferson, going to return after the bye week. Joshua Kelly, he was placed on IR. All right, so if you have the Chargers Joshua Kelly, he's on IR. DJ Chark, if you have him on your fantasy, replace him because he's on IR. J.K. Dobbins, officially placed on IR. He is out again. Gus Edwards, he's been activated from the PUP list. Nelson Aguilar, listed as questionable for week 7. Kendrick Bourne, questionable, week 7. Mac Jones, questionable, week 7. Damian Harris, removed from the injury report Saturday. So all you Stevenson players know that Harris looks like he's going to get back into the action. Randall Cobb is on IR as of yesterday. Sammy Watkins, activated off of IR, questionable for Sunday. Sammy Watkins for Green Bay. Russell Wilson, out. Jonnu Smith, he fully practiced Friday. Donald Parham Jr., concussion, ruled out. That's good. I'm learning a lot myself. I want to keep going on this for a minute. Joshua Palmer, concussion for the Chargers, out. Chargers getting shorthanded fast. Again, Isaiah Spiller, he will be active against the Seahawks. Mark Hollins, questionable for week 7. He plays for the Raiders. Dustin Hopkins, the kicker for the Seahawks, he's out. So the Seahawks without a kicker. Darren Waller ruled out. Hunter Renfrow is questionable. Shaquille Griffin ruled out. Jamal Agnew ruled out. Dalton Schultz fully participated in the practice Friday. Josh Reynolds returned to practice. So there you go. Wide receiver Josh Reynolds. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he is off the Lions injury report, so he will play. Dak Prescott off the injury report, slated to start. Christian Watson, he is out. Jonathan Taylor off the injury report, so he's in the game we're just talking about now. With the Titans and the Colts. Baker Mayfield, we know he's out. Rashawn Bateman out against Cleveland. Kenny Galladay, he is out. Kadarius Toney out. So Giants wide receivers are gone. Nyheim Hines out of concussion protocol, slated to play. On track anyway, it says. Shaquille Leonard out. Talked about him. And let's see. We're reaching back to Friday at this point. Dotson's questionable. You talked about him. Logan Thomas will be out. And we're going to be good on the injuries there. All right, so that's a good recap. Glad we paused for that because I just learned a lot there. Moral of the story, I like your Derrick Henry play, but at plus 330, I'm not so sure. You could talk me into Jonathan Taylor, too, at plus 470. Right. He's going to get the rock. So, I don't know. Decent weather in Nashville. Weather won't be an issue. We'll see what happens. Could you see this being a high-scoring game?
Possibly. I think it could be with
the over/under is lower. The only reason why I'm asking that is because you can probably move that up a little bit and still get a nice payout.
Right.
And it's these games that go over, to be honest.
Yeah, you can probably move that up.
These are the weird, stupid ones. Over 52.5 is plus 360. So take a shot on that if you think it's going to be an over day and a nice fast track for these two teams, Indianapolis and Tennessee. All right. Here's your play, Dave. We know you like this. The Giants are on the road at Jacksonville. The spread is 3 points in favor of Jacksonville currently as we speak, live on the air. 43.5 is the over/under. The money line on the Giants straight up is plus 142. If you think the Giants can come into Jacksonville and put a statement on the rest of the NFL, is that a statement win? It's weird to say that, but for the Giants, it could be against Jacksonville.
Well, and I think that's because, like I mentioned earlier, it would make them 6-1 for the first time in a long time. So that's why I kind of highlight. I don't think it's the team so much that highlights the win. It's what it's going to put them at if they can get that win.
In my newly formed round robin that are not official picks, this will be the one I play with after the air. This won't be on my official side, but the Giants at something like minus 12.5, plus 600 gets really juicy to me, to be honest.
Also, Steve, I am going to go ahead and update you with one of my official picks.
Yep.
I went back to Dallas, and I moved the spread. I didn't quite take it at 17. I took it at 12.5. So I'm going to go.
What's your plus money on that?
Plus 191.
So almost 2-1 odds for the Cowboys to win by 2 touchdowns.
Just because I'm going to pair that with something else. So I think for the value of it anyway, it's going to help bump up whatever else I put in here.
Well, like I said, David, the Nephew Dave, this could be a day in which the bookies are. I don't think they're going to like it. I mean, they're looking at these favorites like, man, I don't know.
Going for the trifecta.
All right, so I'm going to move the alt line in the Giants at some point today and some random play. I'm not going to have an official play on the over-under. As far as I know, I talked about it. The Giants could have one of those better, really, really good defenses. Now, I'm not going to trust Jacksonville. I didn't trust them against Houston, and that worked out for me. Not necessarily. They didn't quite get the – you think if Jacksonville only scored 6 points against Houston, my Houston alt line of 9.5 would be good, but it wasn't. All right, put it that way. But I will trust the Giants in that role, I think, actually, today. So I'm learning something here myself. Touchdown scorer props. Let's look at that real quick. And it's the coach, man. He's just a good coach. Right. Saquon Barkley, 5-1 for 2 touchdowns. I did take Christian Kirk, anytime touchdown scorer. I do have him at plus 170. That's kind of a play on what the Ant-Man had on last week. If it wasn't Kirk last week, maybe he gets one this week. So in my multi-leg, anytime touchdown scorer, I did take Christian Kirk. I think he can get a touchdown for the Jaguars today at plus 170. He's juicing up my parlay a little bit. He's the gamble. That's the one of them all. I'm not gonna lie. He's the one I feel least comfortable about, especially after having this conversation. Okay, you like that too, Dave? What's your take on this game, real quick?
I took it on the money line in a 3-leg that I made last night. So I have them officially just on the money line. And it's gone down for me just a little bit, but I took it when it was plus 140. For me, it's at plus 135 now. But I see them winning the game. They're, like I said, the way they're playing. I would be surprised if they lost to Jacksonville, and that would be a bad loss for them. So I'm going to go ahead and take them on the money line just because I think when you have a team that's having success like this, and they're slated, listed as the underdog, I think you kind of have to do something with them because you like to think that they are going to win that game.
Okay. Next game on the board. And then we'll get to a break, and we'll get down the rest of the slate. Let's see here. So Colts, Titans, that was the Giants and the Jags. Right. Let's get the graphic right. There's your updated spread. Jags -3, over under 43.5. Okay. Browns are at the Ravens. The Ravens are -6.5. The over under is 45.5. That line has stayed the same this morning. Chance for a little bit of rain in Baltimore, but it looks like most of the rain is moving off the coast by the time we're going to get to any games today, Dave, just from the big radar that I've just been looking at here. It looks like this is the last of it right here where we're getting rain currently by our studios here in Virginia Beach, Virginia, East Coast, 8:48 Eastern Standard Time on October the 23rd, 2022. Ravens, Browns, 6.5 and 45.5. 1:00 kickoff. This is a game I want nothing to do with, except I took Nick Chubb to get 2 touchdowns. As simple as that. Because Nick Chubb can always get 2 touchdowns, the way that I see it. I didn't take him last week because they were playing the Patriots, and I figured he'd be on lockdown as well by Coach Belichick, and he was. But he has had a nice season already so far. So the 2 touchdown payout for Nick Chubb today is a plus 650, which I think is a very good price for him. If you wanted to go really crazy for Chubb, 35-1 odds for 3 touchdowns. I could see this game being a sneaky over game as well, over under 45.5, but not an official play for me at all. I'm going to stay away from this one. I will take Chubb on the touchdown prop. If you think this game can get to 55 points, you can get plus 265 on your payout. That's not bad. I would consider that. If it's going to be a nice track, and there might be some overs out there today. Right. I know we kind of talked about that off the air. This could be an over day. If you're going to trust that, then over 54.5 is plus 265. And then let's see. If you can stretch to 60 points, you can get, if you can get to 60.5 over, so 61 plus 540 on the Browns and the Ravens, I could see this being a back and forth kind of weird affair like that. Of course, a lot of that would have to fall in the hands of Jacoby Brissett, and then the Ravens defense, who's been full of holes all season, would be the ones to make that happen as well. I don't know what's your take on this one, Dave. Enlighten me.
If I'm gonna do anything with it, I think myself I'm gonna probably leave it alone. I would move the over though. No, I'm not gonna mess with the spread in this game. I just don't like it very much. So I would definitely move that up. It's sitting at 46 over here for me. I think bump it up 10 points and call it a day.
Okay, so any notable inactives here before we get to a break, and then we'll come back and do all our other games. Denzel Ward, he was going to be out, and of course we talked about J.K. Dobbins. Know that he's going to be out for some time as well. So Dobbins just went on the injured list. He won't be back anytime soon. I could see this being an alternate over at the end of the day. Either team could win this game. I don't see a blowout in either case, and we'll just leave it at that. Go Chubb, get 2 touchdowns. We'll be back. Dependable Solutions can provide all voice-over services for your advanced audio production needs. Think of us as an inexpensive option, no matter what the size of the project is. From one-word cameos to full-script productions, contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517. Do you want to advertise with Deep End Broadcasting? Send us an email at deepend757@yahoo.com. That's deepend757@yahoo.com. It is estimated that 23% of car accidents each year involve a cell phone. That's 1.3 million accidents a year. Reaching for your phone, you are 4 times more likely to crash. Dialing on your phone, 2.8 times more likely to crash. And texting on your phone, you are 23 times more likely to crash. Attentive drivers are safe drivers.
Know your gambling limits. Don't ever bet what you can't cover. Wagering on sports is only fun when you do it the right way. Not every bet will win. When you get on a bad run, know it and avoid trouble. Know your gambling limits.
Control your alcohol. Don't fight. Don't drink and drive. Your one punch could kill someone. It happens. If you're behind the wheel, you may think you are fine, but then the other driver is under the influence of texting, and then you are done. Control your alcohol.
Tired of your swimming pool's diatomaceous earth pool filter? The constant cleaning, green pool, cloudy water? I thought this was supposed to be clean. Trust your swimming pool's water quality with a custom sand filter install. A clean, easy solution for your swimming pool operations. Contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517.
Oh, she didn't bat an eye as I packed my bags to leave. I thought she would start to cry, sit around my room and weep. But you're the girl, she fooled me this time. She acted like I was the last thing on her mind. I would like to start all over again.
This is the perfect song for the production of this show here in the last segment or two. As sometimes I'll forget to pot things up. So if your volume was a little low, Nephew Dave, which it was, I apologize to you listeners out there. You don't want to hear Dave yelling through my mic on the back end. So give a nice hello to everyone again, David.
Hello.
There we go. Rocking and rolling now. So whatever. That's what happens when we're up all night. Winning bets, Dave.
Yep.
And we have to get up early on a Sunday. We're going to foul up. It's hard to be the host, producer, engineer, everything all wrapped into one. Any of you media professionals out there know that to be the case. So this is the Deep End Broadcasting Network. This is the Round Robin. I am Uncle Steve with Nephew Dave. 2-1, the all lines for Nephew Dave last week, 3-0 against the spread last weekend. We look to see what his official plays are as we go down our continued list deep dive, which we do now. So we left off with the Ravens and the Falcons, and we are back with Ravens and Browns. We are back with the Falcons and the Bengals. So the Bengals are -6.5. 47.5 is the over-under in that game. Let's see if we are updated yet. We sit right there, 6.5, 47.5. Same number. I'm going to go ahead and I like a couple things in this. This is one of my, when I sat down, Dave, and this is going to be the basis for my play today. I said, I'm going to do the same strategy that I did yesterday. I'm going to pick the best plays on the board. I can actually put this ticket up as we say this. Let's see where this is. Oh. I can take the best plays on the board, which is, where did you go? Of course, everything fell apart. Where did they go? Oh, here we go. The winning ticket. All right, so we can take the best plays on the board, and we can go ahead and not be committed to one sport. We can be in all different sports, and we can find different plays, and that's what we did. So we had basketball, baseball, over college football, and we had hockey. So see, isn't this fun watching me play, producer? Oh my God, I'm trying to find all this stuff. Okay, so lesson being learned here is on my round robin, I'm not going to be fully committed to 1 o'clock. I'm going to spread my plays all through the weekend, including both of the night games. So first time I've approached this strategy as I attempt to find what I think the best plays are on the board. And in the Bengals game, I think you can go Bengals. I think you can maybe go over. I have done Bengals official. That's going to be on my play here today. I'm going to stretch the Bengals in blowout city fashion to beat the Atlanta Falcons, what will be an excited home crowd. And I'm going to lay 19.5 points, Dave, at plus 350 with Cincinnati. And I'm going to round robin that. And let's hope for the best. Falcons are 6-0 against the spread. I do realize that. Did the Falcons beat me last week when I bet on them? Bet against them with the 49ers? Yes, they did. I'm going to go back to the well again because I'm going to stay firm in my conviction. And I think it's going to be their time. It's their time to lose. This is going to be their spot. And again, if another favorite covers, not the outcome the books worldwide will like to see. If you go alternate over in this game, thinking that Atlanta can put up their points, I'm just suspect they're going to be able to. That's why I'm a little reluctant on the over. Even for them to get 21, oh man, I mean, you need to stretch it. Let's see, over 59.5 points is plus 420. Over 55.5 is plus 255. If I'm going to go to 55.5, I'm honestly just going to go to 59.5. I'm going to trust the Bengals a little bit more than I am the over. And then touchdown scores, you name who you want, it's going to be spread around. I'm not going to have any opinion there with 2 touchdown scores. I could see a big day for everyone who wears a Cincinnati uniform. Nephew Dave, what are you thinking on this game?
So I was thinking kind of the opposite there. I'm looking at an over.
That's what we want. We want some conflict here.
I'm trying to figure out where I want to put it. I was just looking through trying to do some research. I got the last, Falcons and Bengals last 5 games pulled up, looking at some stats. The reason that I don't think I want to go with you, Uncle Steve, on the spread there is just because Atlanta is a covering machine. I definitely understand what you mean when you think they're due, for a beating. But they haven't showed that yet. They're a surprising 3-3 team who they're not as bad as we thought. I'm just going to go ahead and say that right now.
I'll say this too. I actually, because of the price, I do have some smaller future division tickets on Atlanta parlayed with some teams, just in case. And I do have one pre-flop, which is actually my best paying pre-flop one because I have it with the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and the 49ers.
Okay.
And one, and that's paying really, really good, to be honest, just because of the Falcons play alone in there. So I'm going to keep a good eye out on that. It's actually paying me money back right now.
Right.
On that. I could cash it out for a nice little profit. Not much, but man, at 3-3, they're right in there at that division.
Yeah. And so, they're not as bad as we thought. I think they can get some points here. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where I want to put it. And I might just look because I saw a couple, doing the research the last 5 games for the Bengals. There's a couple in there where they haven't quite put up as many points as you would think they would. So I'm also going to maybe sneakily look at a under. Maybe they just get stuck playing in the middle of the field a bunch. I don't know. We'll see. I'm more inclined to play the over is what I'm more looking at. So that would be my take from this game, and probably some good player props too. I believe I took Chase for 1 last week. You could probably go back to that if you need some filler or dancing partner. So I'm thinking an over for me, Steve.
The Falcons pre-flop they were 35-1 there to win their division. Now they are only plus 600. So that's actually getting a lot of respect. I thought they were going to be a lower favorite, kind of like where the Raiders are. Well, the Raiders record reflects that, but there are teams like the Steelers getting a huge payout to win their division still, while just being a game back. Yeah, so the Falcons at 3-3, 6-1, and the Buccaneers are minus 550 to win that. So I'm going to go Cincinnati. I'm going to hope for the blowout. Dave, you're going to, for what it sounds like to me, you're for the most part staying away from this.
Right? For the most part, yeah. I haven't played anything officially with it.
Okay, let me get back to my games menu. 2 touchdown scores in this game. Yeah, I mean, you name it. It's the same cast of characters at this point for the same prices. It always is. Jamar Chase, 5-1 odds. He got you 2 touchdowns last week, so he's hot. Joe Mixon, he's been in the end zone a lot. He's 5-1. If you think it's going to be someone else, T. Higgins, 8-1. I'm waiting for a Hayden Hurst, 21-1 odds for 2 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts, if you like him, and then you like Atlanta, 22-1 odds for Kyle Pitts. Marcus Mariota, if you think he can scramble for 2, 24-1 odds. I think the Cincinnati defense could get a touchdown today. Maybe. Cincinnati defense, if Mariota kind of just F's it up, which I could see that. At plus 550, I'm not sure I could buy that completely. I think there's better plays on the board, I guess. All right, so let's get to our next game on the menu. And we have, this is your game, David. Packers minus 4.5 at the Commanders, 41.5. This is a 1 o'clock game. Tell me you already said you like McLaurin. I gave you your soapbox. You said you liked the McLaurin over props in this game. I don't like the spread or over under in either case. This is going to be an easy pass for me on these 2 teams. If I was going to take an anytime touchdown, I might jump on your McLaurin prop. I like that with the Heineke. That's probably going to be my lone play. I will yield to you for this. I mean, what do you think, Dave?
So I'm leaning with you right now. I'm not going to mess with the total or spread, but I think we can find a little bit of value in here on the player props. We expect to see some points today. So in that other parlay that I had made, I took Taylor Heineke for over 1.5 touchdowns. It's at plus 160. And I think that's achievable. Like I said, he's going to be looking to throw to McLaurin, probably get Samuel involved as well. Those guys can really stretch the field. And he likes to throw it, like I said, and he's mobile, so he can get outside and kind of, roll out and maybe hit an open receiver coming across the field. I just expect him to, throw a lot, even though I'd like to see him run it a little bit more. But I think he's going to want to throw it around and, in the red zone, maybe 10, 12 yards out, throws a little something into the end zone. So that's what I took there. I like the value on that. I know it's not super high, but it's plus money for something I think is definitely possible.
If you think Taylor Heineke can throw for 300 yards, you can get plus 580 today on that. For 250 plus 194, and then I got one plus 186 for over 1.5 touchdowns, Dave. So,
Nice. Shop around.
Yep, shop around. McLaurin over 80 yards receiving is at plus 240. You could talk me into something there.
Yeah, I would look at that.
Let's see. Romeo Dobbs is, if you like Romeo Dobbs to get 80 yards today, plus 390 for Romeo Dobbs. If you think he can get a bomb and then another long catch, that's a nice payout for him. There is no Randall Cobb. Remember that. Rodgers has to trust someone. I think I might do a fun little same game parlay just with the some of the stuff that we're looking at here. You can talk me into McLaurin over at least 80 yards at 240, and that jumps into the 300s after that.
Right.
All right, so we'll look forward to that. Next game on the list, Tampa Bay is at Carolina. Tampa minus 13.5, 38.5. Let me get my trusty graphic up here. 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And this is a complete shellacking by Brady and company in my eyes.
Oh, yeah.
This is my dancing partner. I had to find a fifth. Maybe I should have used the Giants over the Jags. I didn't think about it long enough when I was playing around late into the night. Minimum sleep here on the Round Robin on the Broadcasting Network. As we come to you live every morning, Sunday morning, 6 o'clock. Tampa Bay. I have them on super blowout status. Now, I needed to get some kind of good number at plus 360. So I had to go all the way up to minus 24.5 points, Dave. I'm just going to hope that they win this game 31-0, 41-10. It's going to be something like that. And Brady and company destroys it. If that's going to be the case, I did in my multi-leg anytime touchdown score, I took Godwin and I did take Fournette. So in my long multi-leg anytime touchdown score bet, I do have Godwin and Fournette.
Okay. All right.
So I will lock those players into score today. And it's a route by Brady and company. Pure and simple. You kick them while they're down. They traded away their running back. They just traded away their disgruntled wide receiver. Quarterback's a mess. I think they saw something like there wasn't but maybe 2 pass attempts past 5 yards or something against the Rams. Something crazy like that.
Right.
This could be just what Tampa needs to right their ship. And it's an easy trip right up the East Coast into Charlotte. All right, Dave, what do you have on it? Let me have it.
So I'm going to go under here. I'm hoping for like 28-3. I still think the blowout is happening. I'm just hoping for a little bit less points than what you're probably hoping for or thinking. So what's Carolina going to do here? That defense is at least decent for Tampa Bay. You could probably say it's good, maybe. But it's like we said earlier with Carolina, and they're trading off now, and they know a rebuild is coming. So I just don't think there's many points coming from in a game that the Buccaneers want to get right.
Under 34.5 for Tampa Bay, and Carolina is plus 172.
That's what I'm taking.
If you wanted to stretch it all the way down to under, man, if you think it's 28-0, plus 440 on a 28-point game, I could see it being 31 zip. I could see your bet getting home, and I could see my bet getting home, to be honest. So I don't know. I think it's a route. I'll leave that at that. And Dave likes the under. So people, hopefully you're and I'm completely honestly, everything that I'm looking at, it could be a bookie's nightmare today.
Well, that's what we're hoping for.
Come home. Let's see. Next game on the board. Now we're down to the 4 o'clocks. Raiders -7. They host the Texans. I talked to Dave Del Grande about this. He feels the same way. This is a complete stay away game. If I'm going to take an anytime touchdown score, I'm going to trust Dameon Pierce to get into the end zone. If we have, let's look at 2 touchdown scores just for you guys' sake, and then we'll get Nephew Dave's take on this. This is when you know you're getting delusional, Dave. I'm looking up the Tampa Bay touchdown. I'm like, how's Chris Godwin traded to the Raiders? Anytime touchdown score today for the Raiders and the Texans in Las Vegas. Devontae Adams is a favorite at -165. Dameon Pierce +100, so he's even money. And 2 touchdowns for Pierce is +650. I like Pierce potentially for 2 touchdowns. If they get the ball inside the 5, he's getting it. You can guarantee that. And you might get it 3 times in a row, even 4 times in a row. Devontae Adams for 2 touchdowns +370. I would just be looking at some score props to play around in with this one. I can't see myself moving the spread or the over-under either way. You might have a different take, Dave. What do you think?
For this one, Steve, actually, I really don't. This is not one that I really looked at too much. Doesn't really excite me. I expect the Raiders to win. So if it were me, I would do something with that, I guess. This is probably more of a player props game, of which I'm probably not going to participate.
All right. Sorry. I'm looking up my soccer scores. I'm getting distracted. I should have given you the keep on talking, Dave, there for a minute.
I just didn't have. I didn't have much on that.
I know. That's the problem. That's what I said with Dave Del Grande. Is when you get to these games, I'm like, what are we talking about? There's nothing to talk about. And it goes with like the next one on the list here too. Really, except there is no Russell Wilson, but the Jets are -1.5 now at Denver. Let's see if this line is updated. Still haven't got my soccer scores. Meanwhile, I'm logged back out of the main website. Here we go again. All right. So with no Russell Wilson, I could see this being the under game. I guess you got to do Jets or nothing. Del Grande likes the Denver defense. I don't. I could see the Jets kind of romping in this game, to be honest, now at this point with no Wilson. Now that I'm reflecting, I'm not going to be jumping out of my pants to do this game. Let's see here. The Jets and the Broncos, scrolling back up. Down to 36.5 is the current over-under. I can't go alternate under there. If I'm going to go Jets alternate spread, I guess that's what I would do if you're forcing me to do something. But the Jets to win by 2 scores, which they can do today, is +340 to win by 13. Count on the kicker missing an extra point. I wouldn't give them the benefit of the doubt saying that they need to win by 14. In fact, maybe -11.5 at +320 or -10.5 because you can win a game 31-20, 21-10. So -10.5 is actually a good key number. +290 for that. That wouldn't be too bad. I think you could talk me into that with no Russell Wilson and not knowing what Brett Rippon, the quarterback from Denver, is going to give you. He might be the best player in the world, like Bailey Zappi might be, coming off the bench. But you maybe try to fade that scenario and with an already struggling Denver team.
Right.
So I think the Jets are the angle now that I'm kind of deep diving into this and thinking about it more. I won't be concerned with who's going to score, except I would take a chance on this. Breece Hall at +850 for 2 touchdowns is something I'm interested in. So Breece Hall, the young talent for the Jets, on the road at Denver. I think he could find the end zone a couple of times today. And I'm going to go ahead and lock him into something, some sort of prop parlay with 2 touchdown scores, Brees Hall, at some point when I'm sitting down relaxing post-show. But I'm going to move the alt line on the Jets, I think, now at this point. I'm not going to trust Denver. I'm going to go ahead and fade Russell Wilson. There won't be any secret surprises here on the part of a struggling Broncos franchise under new ownership who is not happy with what they are seeing on the field. Dave, your thoughts on Jets Broncos?
So, yeah, 2 plays that I have from this.
And please keep talking for a second.
All right. So I took the Jets. I did it a little bit lower just because, they're probably a little bit better than people thought they were going to be. But I can't really trust them like that just yet. So I dropped it down a little bit as a plus money filler to go with something else that I had, and I took them to win. I need them by 6, so I took them at 5.5, and I believe I just got off of that. It wasn't super crazy plus money, but it's at plus 144. So that is going to bump up numbers in the parlay, at least help you out a little bit more. So like I said, I feel comfortable with maybe a 6 to 10 point game for the Jets. I do think they win. So it's definitely a Jets angle on this one. And then another something that I'm doing, I took Brees Hall for any time, plus 135, not super great there. But it is pairing into a 4-leg that I'm building. And it's got some pretty good plus money to it. You could probably, I don't know that I would do anything with the total. 37 is what I have. That's pretty low. Kind of like Steve said, you don't know what the quarterback for the Broncos is going to do. And they've been struggling. They don't put up a lot of points anyway. Defense is good, and the Jets, surprisingly, defense is, not terrible. So this could definitely be an under. We could definitely look at an alternate under, if you want to get something good out of it, maybe under 30 points, plus 229. So probably something like that. I've already took my 2 official picks from it. Jets at minus 5.5 and a Brees Hall touchdown.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to sway that way and just pump it up a little bit more. Brees Hall 2, Jets with the alternate cover. They win by a couple of scores minimum. Okay. So let's get down the list here. And we're getting there. Chargers minus 5 at home against the Seahawks. 425 game, over under 50.5. I'm going to look for the Chargers in a romp, Dave. I'm going to say the same thing again. Here's another blowout. Seattle, they've been a nice story so far. The Chargers, I said it earlier with Dave Grande. You can't trust them. You never know what you're going to get. But maybe now is the time. Justin Herbert, he's been under siege with some injuries on the line. But Seattle's defense is just the right remedy to get him correct. So the Chargers at minus 4.5, I think, is a cheap number by itself. So I would be willing to, if he said, here's $500, you want to put it on the Chargers minus 4.5 today against Seattle, I think I would jump at that pretty much instantly. I would take the Chargers for sure to win. You know what? I'm going to count on them to win by 16.5 points anyway. And plus 350 for me is the payout on that. If I want to stretch them to 19.5 at plus 480, that's worth a shot on that as well. I think the Chargers can be 3 touchdown winners today. Will they? Maybe not. People may think that's crazy. Their coach likes to go for it and screw you in a lot of cases. I'm well aware of that. He's tough to deal with. He makes you want to pull your hair out when you're betting for the Chargers. I get all that. That's why I'm going to jump into the fire once again, because they can blow out the Seahawks. I just think that they can. And if there are any props involved, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to hope on the full team effort. I could see maybe if I take a random chance on some teams that have 2 defensive touchdowns today, because the Cardinals set that tone on Thursday night. I'm kicking myself for not doing that. And I might kick myself again if I don't do that. But 65-1 odds for $5 for the Chargers to get 2 defensive touchdowns against the Seahawks. I would be tempted to actually do that as well. Any kind of take for you here?
I'm going over, taking a look at it. That's just, I think, with the Seahawks anyway, it's kind of been a trend of theirs. They play a lot of overs. They get a lot of points. I expect these two to probably just throw it all over each other today. So I'm expecting a lot of points. I'm going to go at least over 55 points. So that's the angle I'm going to take. You start at plus 144 for over 54.5. A little bit smaller value, but over 59 plus 246. So I'm going to go somewhere, probably in there.
If you were talking about soccer scores, if you're expecting the soccer goal fiesta in the English Premier League, you're getting it so far this morning. Just a real quick score on that. Aston Villa, 23 minutes in, they have responded after firing their manager and acting disgusting completely. I said I was so disgusted by them. They're up 3-0 over Brentford. Your boys Leeds up 1-0 over Fulham.
Boo Leeds.
Arsenal is up 1-0 over Southampton. And Leicester, they have 2 goals. The Wolves, no goals, 25 minutes in. I like the alternate over 4.5 in that one. And we need one more goal by Arsenal in the first half. And that will keep us live for 2 legs of our round robin that we played. The ticket we flashed up this morning. Unfortunately, Luton Town didn't score anything for us. And Swansea, even with a red card early into the game, only got 2 goals and won 2-0. They couldn't find that third goal, which is crazy. You think if you get a red card, you get to at least 3 goals. So we'll get the push on that, which is a loss. So we'll root for Arsenal. 1 more goal. Go Arsenal. Yeah, so Chargers romp for me, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't know, all the Charger player props in the world if that's going to be the case. Okay, next game. This is the big one. The Chiefs minus 1.5 at the 49ers, over under 48.5. Kickoff is at 4:25. I have 0 opinions whatsoever. Dave Del Grande didn't like this game at all either. As I look through the menu, Dave, trying to find something that I really want to bet, what are your first thoughts that pop into your head when you see this game on the slate?
So I don't know why, and I'll need to take a look at this, but I immediately want to move the spread for the Chiefs.
Oh, okay. So you like the Chiefs in San Francisco today?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let me look at this real quick. Let's try and get some value here.
All right. If you like the Chiefs in the blowout, interesting angle. See, that's why we do the show, David.
And really, you don't have to go all that high
to get a big payout.
To get some, look. You look at even at 6.5 for the Chiefs is at plus 202. Now I know that's a little bit lower than you like to talk about, but even for a touchdown to win by a touchdown, and you're a little bit over plus 200 money. I think that's definitely worth taking a look at.
Plus 360 if you want them to win by 13 and get that extra score there at the end to really put the hammer down. Okay, interesting. You like the Chiefs angle? Man, you know what? I almost want to say this is game. Dave Del Grande didn't think it was going to be over. Man, could this game go flying over the total? I mean, I
think it's possible. The Chiefs are going to get some points. But their defense isn't great.
And I think San Fran gets theirs, to be honest.
Exactly. They could both do it.
Maybe that's why we do the show. All right, to get to 60.5 points, plus 350. I need something to mess with late. I'll probably do a Jets over this game for fun.
Right.
And Steelers coming up. We'll talk about that. That's one of my hot picks. Okay. So I didn't really have an opinion, but maybe now that I do. I do like your Chiefs angle, but now that I'm thinking about it, the Chiefs will get their points for sure, I think. The Niners are at home. That's always one thing that I've always asked myself in a wagering situation when I want to play an over-under. This is kind of a stop, learn the lesson. You ask yourself in your own mind, will the away team get their points? Yes. The answer is yes with the Chiefs, you think. Can the home team match it as well? Do they have the energy to match that output, the mass output that the away team can put on the scoreboard? And the answer would be yes. So I could see a case where the alternate over would get home for a nice payout. Okay. I'm learning stuff. See, 2 minutes ago, Dave, I didn't have anything on this game. And here I am. I'm getting ready to bet all of our winnings from yesterday on the over of the Chiefs and the 49ers.
And like I said,
just kidding. Minimum investment. We haven't said that all show. Minimum investment. I put that on the headline.
The maximum.
So when people actually read the headline, it says minimum investment for the maximum.
Good.
Reward. I think we should. I don't want to say profit. I want to say reward. I want to feel like we're getting rewarded for our efforts.
Right. But if you're going to pull for the Chiefs, you really don't have to go. You don't have to ask too much of them to get some good value.
And all the update. Fulham scored against your boys Leeds, so Leeds gave up a goal.
See,
Dave. Yeah, and find the best game on the board, people. Bet with your convictions, bet what you want, bet what you like. Hopefully, if you like the over in this game from the get-go, we just gave you some good prices on why you should continue to do so. All right. The night game, Miami and Steelers. And if you're going to go over, obviously all the touchdown scorer props, all the alternate overs apply for all those quarterbacks. Steelers at Miami. Miami minus 7.5, over under 44.5. 8:20 game. I think this has upset written all over it. Here's a Patriots fan talking about the karma gods. But the karma gods there's a number one enemy on their wish list. It is the Miami Dolphins right now. And the Steelers, who won a game against Tampa Bay, might be feeling good about themselves. And when they look up at the top of the division, they are only one game out of first place. So a lot of motivation. And you don't think that these players know that they're 7.5-point underdogs in Miami tonight? Tua expected to play off a concussion. So this is going to be a fascinating night game. I'm going to take the Steelers on the alt line, and I'm going to say that this is a Sunday night sucker. I don't even think that it's close. I think the Steelers could actually go down there and blow the doors off of Miami. I'm not going to stretch the spread that ridiculous, but I'm going to stretch it enough to where I feel very comfortable to where they can cover. And at the Steelers, just to win by 10 points to get plus 830 tonight, you're going to be able to talk me into that all day long. I think the Steelers could win this game by 17 points, even at 15-1 odds, plus 1,500 for the Steelers. If you think that they can go down there and just blow out the Dolphins tonight, I think that they can. Can the Steelers go down and win this game, Dave?
I think so. I just took them on the money line.
The money line straight up, plus 285 is a nice price.
Yep. So I'm just going straight up. I know, plenty of Steelers fans, so let's go Steelers tonight. I'm rocking with you. I definitely think, they were impressive in that win against Tampa Bay. That's a team that many thought it was going to be a repeat of when they played the Bills the week before and just getting romped. Wasn't the case. So yeah, let's roll the dice and let's ride them again.
And I'm going to take a look at George Pickens for 2 touchdowns tonight, 31-1 odds on that. So whatever 2-game parlay I have for 2 touchdown scores. I'm going to go ahead and include Pickens at 31-1 odds. I've been playing him the whole season. He's going to get 2 touchdowns at some point, and that's going to pay off when it hits. I am completely convinced of that. I'm going to look at the Steelers wrong, and I'm going to make that an official play and one that I like more than anything. Have the Steelers burn me this season? Absolutely, completely. But this is the game that they can show me signs where I was right all along. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
In my train
right.
of thinking, and maybe it just took them a few weeks to catch up. So I'm going to trust my gut instincts is what you should do as a gambler yourself, listeners and viewers, broadcast recipients. Trust your gut instinct and go with what you like. Okay. One last game. We're going to wrap it up. So we are at the Monday night game. Bears and Patriots. 40.5 over under. Patriots -7.5. That is the Monday night game, 8:15. It's simple as that. Belichick against Justin Fields, blowout city. You put the number on it where you want to, whatever makes you feel comfortable at the plus price. Again, this could be the bookie. This could be the turn the lights out in Vegas, as they say, game.
Could the Patriots get there by themselves, you think?
On the over-under?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't let off the gas. They like to keep it up. Belichick will I remember Belichick running it up on your boys to get to 55 points on the 55-7 beat win in Foxborough one year, Dave, if you remember that game. So Bears in the blowouts. You have any other thoughts? Now Damian Harris coming back, so maybe not Stevenson for 2 touchdowns. I do have him for 1 touchdown, though, and my multiplayer parlay prop we've been talking all along. And we'll recap that here in a second with the picks. So Patriots in the blowout for me, and then all the Patriot props. The quarterback props. You might get more run-dominated. Defense could win this game for sure. You might even be able to get 2 touchdown scores. Again, if we're going to stick to the 2 touchdown defensive scoring theme that the Cardinals were able to do, man, if the Cardinals can do it, anyone can do it, right? And it doesn't happen. We all kind of said that. It's not a prop you want to bet every time. But if there's a weird weekend of matchups, that was the one Dave Grandy liked too in the Denver Jets game. Each team to get a defensive touchdown. Which that parlay, $10 pays like 1,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that might even be worth like $3 to win 300.
No kidding. Yeah.
So that's the stuff I'm talking about. The Patriots. Where is their line? That's the line with the Jets next week. Patriots and Jets next week. Good game. That will be our Halloween party we're having here in. We're having a little Halloween function in the sports lounge before we move to the local watering hole for today. That will be the plans. Wear our costumes on the air next week. I put my costume on, and the neighbor freaked out. They didn't know what the hell was going on. I'll leave that at that. So Patriots. I forget what I was even looking at this point, Dave. What am I looking up? Do you even remember what I was looking up?
Yeah, it was the Patriots game.
Well, I was looking for 2 touchdown scores or something. I don't even know. It's the Patriots and the romp. Your thoughts here?
I'm not gonna. I'll wait till this evening before there's anything that I do with it, probably, and it's probably gonna be, like I said, a same game for me. But I'm definitely gonna put something on it. I'm thinking if we're trying to get that plus money there, 16.5 is probably where I'm gonna look to start. And then we'll maybe same game throw in a Stevenson touchdown or something like that, and definitely it's Patriots or nothing. I think Bears are terrible.
Patriots defensive touchdowns. That's right. But Tyquan Thornton at plus 270 for anytime touchdown, I would like, to be honest, in that game as well to score 2 touchdowns. That's what I was looking for. Patriots defense 60-1 odds. You can sign me up for that.
Wow. Okay.
So Pat's 2 touchdowns. I'm going to have to do a little multi-defensive touchdown parlay across the board today. I'll include the Bengals in there. I'll include everyone that I like on the lopsided deal of things here.
Right.
Buccaneers included, stuff like that. All right, so let's get official plays. We'll wrap it up. One last broadcasting note. We are live every Sunday, 6 a.m. until we get off the air around 9:30, 9:40, as we are today. And then this is the round robin. Stephen Murray, Nephew Dave, the Ant-Man, when available. Dave Del Grande comes on as well. What the puck is going on tomorrow night, 6 o'clock live. We'll go over Monday and Tuesday hockey slates. Lots of crazy stuff happening in hockey, and we need to stay on top of that.
Lots to get to.
I've been on it. I've been paying attention to everything. So
good.
I feel good about it. And then also the Friday soccer paycheck. There is a goal fiesta going on this morning. Arsenal needs to get me one more goal, please, before we get off. After we get off the air, give me another goal, Arsenal, and we'll have a good start to the morning there. So Friday soccer paycheck with me every Friday, 4 o'clock live, replay to follow. You can listen in when you're walking around. That's what we want you to do. You don't have to sit there and watch. Just put the volume on in your pocket, get the latest on the lines, get some insight on moving some stuff around, get some ideas on how to play some round robins, some exotic parlays, investing the minimum to make the maximum. That is the whole point here. Our plays for the week, if you want to tag along, and we encourage you to think for yourself. We're not telling you to bet these, but this is what we like. Nephew Dave, you have the honors because you crushed it last week. What are you officially going with this week?
All right, so my officials are I'm taking Dallas Cowboys minus 12.5 on the spread. I threw in a Taylor Heineke rushing yards over 14.5. Under 34.5 in the Buccaneers game. I think it's all Buccaneers, no Carolina. And then a Breece Hall touchdown to round that one out. We'll touch on this one. I took over 54.5 in the Seahawks game. Chiefs minus 5.5 on the spread. And then Pittsburgh Steelers on the money line straight up. And then we'll close it out for me with I took the New York Giants on the money line. Taylor Heineke passing touchdowns over 1.5. And then lastly, we got the New York Jets at minus 5.5 alt spread.
So the list gets long, Dave.
It's
I like
busy day, trying to hit the trifecta for the weekend and close out the weekend on a good high note.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Should I just pull my play up? I won't do that. I'll know it. I will officially take the Bengals on the alt line. I'll go all the way up to 19.5, blowout in Cincinnati. I'm going to go ahead and take the Buccaneers to destroy Carolina. They'll win by 4 touchdowns, but I'll give the benefit of the doubt to a scrub kicker potentially. And if I miss a couple extra points, I'll survive at minus 25.5 at a big payout. I'm going to take the Chargers to blow out the Seahawks in a whitewash as well. I'll lay the 19.5 there. I'll do the same with the Patriots on Monday night. We're going to lay the wood there and lay 19.5. Blowout city against the bottom feeders. And then my one big upset of the week, Pittsburgh, they will win emphatically at Miami and what will be a huge payout. So if all those happen, David, we're going to travel the world for our next broadcast.
We're going somewhere. Broadcasting live.
Speaking of for this show, we will have a special start time. I will announce the date soon. Looks like we're going to have a new commercial for our friends at CP Shuckers. They'll do a commercial with us. And Chastity said that we can do the show live from CP Shuckers on a Sunday morning. They'll even open up early for us. So we will have our ugly sweater Christmas party show sometime in December from 9 a.m. till about noon start time. Maybe we'll do like 8:30 to about
Exciting news there.
8:30 to 11:30, and we'll do like a little breakfast buffet and open to the public. That'll be fun. So you'll be able to come join us for the Deep End Broadcasting Christmas party live on the Round Robin. So that will be fun and exciting as well.
Excellent.
All right, so my official plays are that 2 touchdown scores for me. I'll stick to that, or anytime touchdown score. Let's see, I took Kirk for 1. I got Chubb for 2 in the Cleveland game. I'm going to follow McLaurin over passing receiving yards. I think I'm going to stick with that, Dave.
All right.
On some sort of parlay. I'll take Dameon Pierce for 1 touchdown. I'll take Godwin and Fournette for the Buccaneers to each get a touchdown. I will take Breece Hall for the Jets to get 2 touchdowns. And I'm going to take George Pickens for 2 touchdowns. And I'll take Ramondre Stevenson for the Pats for 1 touchdown. So those are my plays. Those are Nephew Dave's plays. We'll go ahead and hit the music bed. That should pop up here in a minute. So we'll just have to kill another second or two. But we want to thank you guys. I know it's hard to listen this whole time. We only expect you to catch bits and pieces, to be honest. Or maybe you're working. If you're traveling around town, working like I'd like to do, I like to put one thing on, listen, get informed, and, just get some good information for the day. Hopefully we're able to provide that for you. I think Dave Grandi has brought a great perspective from the West Coast. He gives us a lot of credibility too. He's seen it all at this point. Nephew Dave's done a very good job in here. The Ant-Man, when he's around, he's been on it too.
So it's a good crew, Steve. We got a good crew here.
We'll learn some more better production stuff as well, and we will get all that situated to perfection. I got to keep pressing buttons for now. This is the Round Robin on the Deep End Broadcasting Network. Good luck, everyone. Have fun.
Good luck.
I keep looking